Hallelujah. Blessed be Yehovah our King, who has allowed us to return once again. Hoping and praying that those that have not arrived at the Most High will cause to get here safely, and those that can't make it out today, that the Most High be with them wherever they're at observing this day. This time I'll ask everyone to please open up your prayer books at page 29. For the song for the opener of the Shabbat day, the song by the name of Zed HaShabbat. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Zed HaShabbat. Our King, our Father, creator of all things, creator of heaven and earth, great God, mighty God, revering God, the only God. Most High, to you we give thanks, we give praise, Most High, and we say Torah Yah for our very lives, for this Shabbat day which you have given us, great King, to rest our minds, our bodies, and our spirits, Most High, to try to get closer to thee, Most High, which we should try to do each and every day, Father. Most High, again we ask that you be with us this day as you have been with us continually. We ask that you be with our elders, Most High. Strengthen them, Most High. Strengthen them that call on your name. Strengthen them who we have to go to, Most High, to hear our history, Most High, to know what happened in the past, Most High. Strengthen our elders, guide them, protect them. Be with the leadership here at D.C.B. and around the world, Most High, who teach your word, Most High, who bring your word to the public, Father. Be with our Yeladim, great King. Be with them, make them strong, Father, in this time of evilness, this time of wickedness, and this time of things going so backwards, Father. Strengthen our Yeladim, strengthen the youth, Father, to keep you in their minds and their thoughts before any actions are taken. Great King, be with our family online, Father. Be with those who tune in, who come with us and call on your name, Most High. Us his Abba, Most High. Strengthen him, be with him, and protect him and his family at this time, great King. There's so much again to ask you for. We thank you for food, for clothing, for the vehicles we got, the jobs you've given us, all things and everything, great King. Most High, we ask, Father, that you be with us as we go forward, Most High. As we ask you for a bigger place, Most High, a place that if you find us worthy, Most High, that we can bring your people into, Most High, that we can go would like to do for your people, Most High. Father, again, we ask for health, for strength. And hallelujah. Hallelujah. Amen. Most High, also I ask you that you be with my family, be with my Abel, keep her strong, be with my Isha, my sons, my daughters, my grandchildren. Amen.
O Shema Yisrael, Yahovah Eloheinu, Yahovah Eloheinu. O Shema Yisrael, Yahovah Eloheinu, Eloheinu, Yahovah Yisrael. O Matu Shekinu, Soleu Lama, Soleu Lama, Soleu Lama, Shekinu, Soleu Lama. O Shema Yisrael, Yahovah Eloheinu, Yahovah Eloheinu, Yahovah Eloheinu. O Shema Yisrael, Yahovah Eloheinu, Eloheinu, Yahovah Yisrael. O Baruch Shekinu, Mahabu Soleu Lama, Mahabu Soleu Lama, Mahabu Soleu Lama, Shekinu, Mahabu Soleu Lama, Sing Elohim, sing Elohim, O Yahovah. Hey, somebody king. Somebody with me. Shabbat, O Yisrael, amen. Sing Elohim, O Yahovah. There is no God like Yahovah, making always doing wonders that only there is no God like Yahovah, making of the universe, always doing wonders that only say our name. There is no God like Yahovah, making of the universe, always doing wonders. Let all Israel say amen. Praise Yah. Praise Yah. Praise Yah. Hallelujah. At this time we will proceed with the prayers that are set aside. The first being the 92nd Psalm, which is found on page 3 in our Siddurim. For everyone online, you can download our prayer book from the descriptions on the description underneath the video. The 92nd Psalm. Hallelujah. It is a good thing to give thanks unto Yehovah and to sing praise unto thy name, O Most High, to show forth thy loving kindness in the morning and our faithfulness every night, upon the instrument of 10 strings and upon the psaltery, upon the harp of the silent sound. For thy Yehovah has made me glad through thy works. I'll triumph for the works of thy hands. O Yehovah, I grave thy works and thy thoughts of every deed. A brutish man knoweth not need, but for fool understandest. When the wicked spring up as grass, with all workers of iniquity do flourish. It is thy days shall be destroyed forever. For thy Yehovah most high forevermore. For Lord thy enemies shall Yehovah, for Lord thy enemies shall perish. All the workers of iniquity shall be scattered. For my horns shall thy joy like the horns of wild ox. I shall be known to refresh oil. My eye also shall see my desire of my enemies, and my ears shall hear the desire of the wicked that rise up against me. The righteous shall flourish like a palm tree. He shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon. Those that be planted in the house of your Lord shall flourish in the courts of our God. They shall still bring forth fruit in old age. They shall be fat and flourishing, to show that Jehovah is upright. He is our rock, and there is no righteousness in him. Hallelujah. The 125th Psalm. Hallelujah. They that trust in Jehovah shall be as Mount Zion, which cannot be moved but abide forever. As the mountain round about Jerusalem, so is Jehovah round about his people, from henceforth even forever. For the rod of the wicked shall not rest upon the lot of the righteous, lest the righteous put forth their hands into iniquity. Do good, O Jehovah, to those that be good, and to them that are upright in their hearts. As such turn aside unto their crooked ways, Jehovah shall lead them forth in the works of iniquity. But peace shall Yisrael. Hallelujah. We're in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, starting from verse 4, page 5. Shema Yisrael, Yehovah Eloheinu, Yehovah Echad. Hear, O Yisrael, Yehovah our God, Yehovah is one. And thou shalt love Yehovah thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words shall command thee this day shall be upon thy heart. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children. And shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thy house, when thou walkest by the way, when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be for frontlets between thine eyes. Thou shalt write them upon the doorposts of thy house, and upon thy gates. And it shall be when Jehovah thy God shall have brought thee into the land, which he swore unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Yitzchak, to Yaakov. We give thee great and goodly cities thou buildest not, and houses full of all good things thou fillest not. Girls dig which thou diggest not, vineyards and olive trees thou plantest not. When thou shalt eat them before, then beware lest thou forget Jehovah, who brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt fear Jehovah thy God and serve him, and shalt swear by his name. You shall not go after all the gods of the people that are round about you, for Jehovah thy God is a jealous God amongst you. Lest the anger of Jehovah thy God be kindled against thee, and he swore thee forth the face of the earth. Hallelujah. Therefore we honor and extol the God of our fathers, for restored us back to our heritage, even here in the land of our captivity. We thank thee and praise thee with all our might, and we say, blessed is the name of Jehovah our God forevermore. Amen. Amen. Let us sing the Shema. Shema, 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 Yisrael, Yehovah Eloheinu, Shema Yisrael, Yehovah Echad, unto Moshe, saying, speak thou also unto the children of Yisrael, saying, well, ye shall keep my statutes, for it's a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I'm Jehovah who sanctify you. You shall keep the Shabbat, therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that profaneth it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever do any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. 6 days shall work be done, but on the 7th day is a Shabbat of solemn rest, holy to Jehovah. Whosoever doeth of any work in the Shabbat, he shall surely be put to death. Wherefore the children of Yisrael shall keep the Shabbat, to observe the Shabbat throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant. It is a sign between me and the children of Yisrael forever. That heaven and the earth will finish, and all the hosts of them. And on the seventh day Yah finished his work which he had made. And God blessed the seventh day and hallowed it, because that any he rests more his work, which God in creating had made. Hallelujah. Repeat after me. Hallelujah. If thou turn away thy foot because of the Shabbat.
If thou turn away thy foot because of the Shabbat.
From pursuing thy business on my holy day. And call the Shabbat a delight.
And call the Shabbat a delight.
And the holy of Yehovah honorable.
And the holy of Yehovah.
And shalt honor it.
And shalt honor it.
Not doing thy wanted ways.
Not doing thy wanted ways.
No pursuing thy business.
No pursuing thy business.
No speaking thereof.
No speaking thereof.
Then shalt thou delight thyself in Yehovah.
Then shalt thou delight thyself in Yehovah.
And I'll make thee to ride upon the high places of the earth.
And I will make thee to ride upon the high places.
And I'll feed thee with the heritage of Yaakov thy father.
And I will feed thee with the heritage of Yaakov thy father.
For the mouth of Yehovah has spoken.
For the mouth of Yehovah has spoken.
Hallelujah. With love for thee, O Yehovah our God, we have entered our great house to welcome the Shabbat day, which invites us to enjoy the blessings of rest and peace that are near to us in this place. And wherever we call upon thee, thou will come to us and bless us. On this Shabbat day, and we look back upon this past week and reflect earnestly upon the way we have used the fleeting moments. Be with us in the coming week that we may be faithful to all our duties. Make us glad that there is so much joy in this house. May we ever be eager to spread around the light of happiness, of love and goodwill. May this day bring peace to our hearts and joy to our souls. Hallelujah. Let us sing the Shema. Shema, 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 Yisrael. Yehovah Eloheinu. Shema, Yisrael. Yehovah Echad. Shema, 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 Yisrael. Yehovah Eloheinu. Shema, Yisrael. Yehovah Echad. Yehovah our God, merciful and gracious, long-suffering and abundant in goodness and truth, keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity, transgression, and sin, and that by no means clears the guilty, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children, and upon the children's children, unto the third and to the fourth generation. Therefore we serve only you, Yehovah, because your glory endures forever. We will love you and serve you, and show reverence unto thy most holy name. Who is like unto the King of glory? Who is like unto our God who fights the battles of his people, Yisrael? He who smites nations for us and subdues our enemies before our eyes. Therefore we honor and praise his holy name. Shout for joy, all you holy ones of the Most High. For our King will deliver us and we keep his laws and commandments. For our King will save us and we serve him with all our souls. For our King will deliver us and we do all that he commanded Moshe. For our King will save us and we praise him with all our might. For our King is the God of glory. Yehovah Sabaoth is his name. So make a joyful noise, so chief man, and sing aloud, you princes of Israel. Let the daughter say, Zion sing with joy. Let all the hosts of Israel clap their hands. For the King of glory is there, from everlasting even unto everlasting. Thou art God. Hallelujah. Chiqueo, Tenesino, Paleo, Merhaquado, Pacarelo, Amareki, Wayetzei Yahovah, Wayetzei Yah, Chiqueo, Casotra Petrio, Paleo, Merhaquado, Pacarelo, Amareki, Wayetzei Yahovah. most high holy day. This is the day of the Shabbat. The day that the Most High God set aside for us to keep holy. Praise Yah. Praise Yah. Padosha, 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 Yahovah, Padosha, 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 Everybody sing it, God. the Shabbat day to keep it holy. Remember the Shabbat day to keep it holy. Remember the Shabbat day to keep it holy. Remember the Shabbat day to keep it holy. Jehovah is the King of the universe. Jehovah is the King of the universe. Ein Elohim Okah. Israel, you got to praise the Lord. Israel, we got to praise the Lord. Israel, we got to praise the Lord. Israel, we got to remember the Shabbat day. Come on, y'all. A little louder. Remember the Shabbat day to keep it holy. Remember the Shabbat day to keep it. Break it down, break it down. Jehovah is the King of the universe. Jehovah is the King of the universe. Ein Elohim. Great is the Lord. Great is the Lord. How do you do be praised? Great is the Lord. How do you do be praised? Great is the Lord. How do you do be praised? Great is the Lord. How do you do be praised? Remember the Shabbat. Remember the Shabbat day to keep it. Yeah. Remember the Shabbat day to keep it. Praise Yah. Remember the Shabbat day to keep it. Remember the Shabbat day to keep it. Break it down. Jehovah is the King of the universe. Jehovah is the King of the universe. Ein Elohim Okah. Like it. Yeah, praise Yah. Praise Yah. Praise Yah. Hey. Look at Jacob's children all over this world. Look at Jacob's children all over this world. Their mind is in the dither. Their heart is in this world. Jacob, you better wake up all over this world. Listen, look at Jacob's children all over this world. Look at Jacob's children all over the world. Their mind is in the dither. Their heart is in this world. Jacob, you better wake up all over this world. Listen, truth is in the frying pan, pork is in the pot. Oh, we get so far from Yah, man, we must forget. Look to God Almighty, forget about the sun. Listen, you better wake up all over this world. Listen, look at Jacob's children all over this world. Look at Jacob's children all over the world. Their mind is in the dither. Their hearts are in this world. Jacob, you better wake up all over this world. Listen, now we start the movies, beating up the man. But the stark reality, scared to lift your hand. Look to God Almighty and get up off your knees. Jacob, you better wake up all over this world. Listen, look at Jacob's children all over this world. Look at Jacob's children all over this world. Their mind is in the dither. Their heart is in this world. Jacob, you better wake up all over this world. Listen, now we in St. Matthew's Church looking for salvation. Bowing down to idols. Look not over our nation. You big dumb. Think before you move. Jacob, you better wake up all over this world. Listen, look at Jacob's children all over this world. Look at Jacob's children all over the world. Their mind is in the dither. Their hearts is in this world. Jacob, you better wake up all over this. Say who? Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Blessed be the mighty God, the whole alone. We thank this great King for this holy Shabbat day, and we thank him for being who he is, the Savior of the whole entire world. And unto him and him alone do we give praise. You may be seated. I'm thankful to this great King for my life, for the life of Kobeit Yisrael scattered in the four corners of the earth. I'm thankful to this great King for the Torah, the understanding of Torah, and I'm thankful to this great King for my life, full clothing and shelter, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, all the things that we might take for granted, that we think that we must have, but in reality, some people around the world don't have the commodity of having food every day. I was looking in Venezuela, a roll of toilet paper costs about $100 US because they broke. Their economy is broke. They got to take a whole day just to pick up a few items to be able to survive. You know, go get oil, go get this, go get that. And it's just out of control. But we take those things for granted. Go down there to Family Dollar and get me a roll of toilet, get a pack of toilet paper. You know, for $5 years, the good one. Go get the good one, the soft one. You know, you do stuff like that, but over there they gotta make a whole day of trying to go get toilet paper, things we take for granted. And we wouldn't be able to live with it. We can't picture ourselves living without toilet paper, can we? Now, think about this, people in the world that have to make a way without it. So we take So we thankful to the great King for all the things that he does for us. I'm thankful to this great King for my life, the life of Kobeit Yisrael scattered across the universe. And the Most High God is going to bring us back as his people to be able to praise his high and holy name. But on the comeback, we're going to come back with some righteousness. Amen. We're going to come back understanding that he is God and God alone, and besides him there is no other. Amen. That's important. We're not mingling his name with anyone. We're not saying in the name of this one who is God. No, we're saying that Yah is King. Amen. Amen. And that's who we praise. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Giving due respect to the elders in the place, even the chief prince of BINAH, CHOKMAH, BINAH, even Prince Yediel Ben Saska, that the Most High God be with him, and guide him and protect him. That's actually his name. His name is Prince Jeriel. His legal document is Prince Jeriel. That's his name. You know what I'm saying? So we thankful to the Most High God for, huh? You gotta change it again? Chief Prince? I ain't gotta change it again. He's Chief Prince Jeriel, but he's Prince Jeriel on paper. Your Sasko, that's his license. You know, so we thankful to the Creator for his life, the life of his family, even his Princess Shekinah, that the Most High God continue to be with them and bless them, guide them and protect them, bless them with health, wealth, and all the things that are desirable in their minds of righteousness, that the Most High God be with the yellow dean, with the families, and that the Most High God will bless them. Hallelujah. Also with the chief Levite in the midst of us, even Chief Kohat Ben Levi, that the Most High God also be with his princess, even Princess Hannah. Comes in every Shabbat morning, she works so hard, she get all the breakfast prepared, lay it out, and get it all ready for us to eat. We're thankful to the Most High God for their lives, that the Most High God continue to bless them, grant them peace, grant them health, wealth, and all the things that are desirable in their minds and righteousness, and that the Creator of heaven and earth be with their families and their households and bless them. That the Most High God be also with Chief Aquana Ben Yehuda, and with his princess, even Princess Sedera, that the Most High God will continue to be with them, protect them, guide them, and keep them, and that the Most High God will bless them with health and wealth and all the things desirable in their minds of righteousness, that the Most High God will continue to protect them and even bless their family, their children, their household, that the Most High God be with them. The Most High God be with Kobeit Yisrael, all of us that are here today. The Most High God be with our elders, even Imamuna, Ima Keturah, who's on a journey, from what I understand. She's a grandmother again, so the family that Levite family just keeps getting bigger and bigger. But you know, that's actually Judah, but you know, those are her grands. So we're thankful to the Most High God for her life, also for the life of Ima Sarah. I don't see her here today, but hopefully everything, she's resting today. hope that the Most High God be with her. I know she's listening if she's resting, and we're thankful to the Most High God for her life. For all of the people that are here today, all the visitors, we welcome you. And I'm thankful that the Most High God brought you here safely, and that you, as you came here safely, that the Most High God will return you back safely to your homes. We're thankful to the Most High God for you. Also thanking the Most High God for the life of Nasik Zurishadai Ben Yehuda. Thankful to the Most High God for his life, for traveling up here safe, you know, and getting up here safely, because he comes all the way from Florida and he still jump on the highway. You know, he still jump on the highway. Thing about Prince Zurishadai is, or Nasik Zurishadai, is that he's been doing this from when he was 13 years old. 1965. But listen, this is public information. This is public information. He said this on the record, so I'm not blowing his spot up. And what's important about that is he come from Ben Azakim, right? From the original school, right? With Nasi Yaakov, when it was just a handful of people, right? When it was just and he was just the young guy running around. He was just a young guy with a couple of other young guys his age running around, but he was the only one that could hang out with the older guys. He was there when Nasi Yaakov went back to Chicago, when he left New York and left the place with Chief Chaim. And then Nasi Yaakov came back in 1972, and he was still there. Before a lot of people was around at Ben Azakim. He was there when the padlock was put on Ben Azakim and it was shut down. When everybody abandoned ship, he was there. So these type of individuals, these type of people are important because they help to give a true sense of history. You know, Trump said you got fake news, but then you got real news, people that were there. You know, so he's a very integral part of this community because of the history, the wealth of history that he possesses and that he could disperse out to the people. That's right, through experience. So he's very important to our history because we are an extension of Ben Azakim. We are an extension of Hashabah Yisrael, but Ben Azakim is one of those schools that we came from, that a lot of my teachers came from, you know. So that's very important what he has to say in the history that he put forth. And the history that he put forth is important for us because as we go on, we could get this and continue it and pass it down to our children. So I'm thankful to the Most High God for his life, for the life of his Esau, that the Most High God would bless him, bless his family, his household. That the Most High God, and as long as I've known him, he's been a strong Israelite. Wherever he goes, he's recognized as an Israelite. So I'm thankful to the Most High God for him and I'm proud to call him one of my teachers, that he's able to pass down certain things, and every time he come up here, he come and check us and make us feel good. And he's always got, every time he come with something to make us think, whether we agree with it or not. And he's not the type of teacher that if you agree or you disagree with him, that he's gonna cut you off. He's gonna tell you, well, let me hear your point. And if you make a good point, he's gonna say, you got it. But he's gonna sharpen you up. He's always been like that. So I'm thankful to the Most High God for his life. I'm thankful to the Most High God for all of our lives, all the drummers, although we have 4? You want to be counted in? All right. So what about him? You're not going to count him? Wow. Although we have 5 drummers. We thank you to the Most High God that we sounded good and that we uplifted the spirit and praise his high and holy name. Shabbat Shalom, my sister. Hallelujah. And we're thankful to this great King for this day. This is the Shabbat day, and we should be glad and rejoice therein. This is a day of praise. This is not a day of self. You know, this is a day of praise to the Creator.
Amen. Amen.
This is a day of praise to the Creator. And that's what we strive to do. You know, that's what we strive to do. Praise the Most High King. And we're thankful to the Most High King for this place, D.C.B, and the families that come here, the families that gather together and that come up and praise His mighty King. So we're going to move straight ahead with the teacher that's set aside for the half Torah portion, and that teacher being Elquana Bain, Chief Elquana Ben Yehuda. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. First of all, I'd like to give all thanks and praise to Yahweh, the God of our forefathers, the God that allowed Himself to be known through us even up until this day. Amen. I want to say Torah for all the lives of the people here this day. Amen. I also like to give due respect to my Abba, Chief Elquana Ben Yehuda. Ask that the Most High God continue to be with him, God shield and protect him. I also like to give due respect to the leader, Nasiyario Ben Yasaskar, and ask that the Most High God continue to be with him as well, keep him strong. And ask that the Most High God continue to be with Rosh Chohab Ben Lewi, and giving him his due respect, and also giving due respect to Crown Prince Zerishadah Ben Yehuda. All right. So the half Torah portion that we find here today is going to be in the book of Hosea, starting at chapter 12, verse 13. But let me take it a step back. I also like to give due respect to, all the elders, men, women, and children, all the people that's here before me this day. And with that, I bid you all in the tongue of our ancient forefathers, Shabbat Shalom Lakim. All right. So the half Torah portion for this week is found in the book of Hosea. And one thing that's special about this prophet is that right from jump, we're not going to go there, but you read it from the first chapter, we see that the Most High God told him to marry a harlot and have children with this harlot. Now, why would the Most High God do that to a holy man? Because the Most High God had to create an example for the people around him to see what they were doing to him. If we can real quick, I just want to go to 2 Samuel chapter... Got you right now, 2 Samuel chapter 12. And you can start at verse 1.
We're in the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 12, verse 1. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And Yahweh sent Nathan unto Dawid, and he came unto him and said unto him, there were 2 men in this one city, one rich and the other poor. The rich man had exceeding many riches and herds, but the poor man had nothing, save one little ewe lamb, which he had bought and reared, and it grew up together with him and with his children, and did eat of his own morsel and drank of his own cup, and lay in his bosom, and was unto him as a daughter. And there came a traveler unto the rich man, and he spared to take of his own flock and of his own herd to dress for the wayfaring man that was come unto him, but took of the poor man's lamb, and dressed it for the man that was come to him. And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man. And he said unto Nathan, as Jehovah liveth, that man that hath done this deserved to die. And he shall restore the lamb fourfold, because he did this thing, and because he had no pity. And Nathan said unto Dawid, thou art the man. Thus says Jehovah, the God of Yisrael, I anointed thee king over Yisrael, and I delivered thee out of the hand of Shaul. And I gave thee thy master's house, and thy master's wives into thy bosom. And I gave thee the house of Yisrael and of Yehuda. And if that were too little, then I would add unto thee so much more.
So right here we see King David being shown his own dirt to his face. So a lot of times we may do or say things to other people and won't recognize these things unless we see it happening to somebody else. And that's when we want to be hyper vigilant. In this situation, this is after Dawid had took Uriah's wife, Bathsheba, and he slayed him afterward. After he committed adultery, he couldn't cover up the adultery, so he decided to murder him so he could keep the woman. And now Nathan the prophet is coming before David and giving him an example, because if Nathan straight out told David what he was doing, sometimes telling a person the dirt that they're doing, they go into defense mode and they can't hear the words that you're telling them. So instead of telling him, hey, this is what you did, so Nathan the prophet gave him an example. Hey man, this rich man, he has all these things, and this man, he had this one little thing that he had his whole life, he raised it up, he took care of it, and the rich man having all these things took what was, took from the poor man. And as you can see, King David, his wrath got kindled up. He was angry. He wanted the man to die, not realizing that that's exactly what he just did. Uriah was a loyal servant before King David,
even when King David sent Bathsheba back to Uriah so he could try to cover up the adultery that he just committed, Uriah said, no, it's not the time for that. I'm not going to lay down with my wife. So that's why King David had to take the next step. Kind of makes you wonder if he actually did do what King David wanted him to do, would he have lived? It's a little, funny thought in my mind, but back to the main point. Now, this is what the Most High God is doing with the prophet Hosea. Instead of showing Israel, just straight out telling us that we're playing the harlot, he gives us a holy man, a prophet, And even though Hosea is considered a minor prophet, he's not a minor prophet because he mattered less than the rest of the prophets. He's only considered a minor prophet because this book is shorter than the rest of the books, like most of the other minor prophets. So the Most High God, he gives Hosea a command to marry a harlot. So now we as Israelites, even back then in that time, even though we were in folly, there was always people in the midst of us that was giving us the word of God, because we always was turning our back against God. So there was always a prophet or a person in the midst of us that was speaking this word. Now, imagine, let's bring it to modern times. And let's say one of us have, I'll use me as an example. Let's say I bring Kim Kardashian here as a wife. Y'all all gonna look at me funny. Y'all gonna think I'm in a sunken place. First y'all probably gonna be a little bit amazed, like, he got Kim Kardashian? But then after that, once that settles down, it's gonna be like, why is he with her? Why is she here? But and Zamar Zakar just said anybody can get Kim Kardashian. That's the whole point with Hosea. He gave him a wife that pretty much anybody could have. Because that's what we was doing to ourselves. That's what we made ourselves like to the Most High God. He made us his wife and we made ourselves like a harlot. We wanted to marry ourselves into any and every other nation. Meanwhile, he's our main source of sustenance. So he had to show us that example to make us understand this is you. And also, our people like shock value, which is why we like a lot of drama and reality television. So seeing this is something we're going to watch. Oh, he married a harlot? Oh, wait, hold on. We're going to tune into the next episode. All right. So now we're going to go into the portion for today, which starts at chapter 12, verse 13. And just to give a little pretext, Hosea is a minor prophet in the land of, in the northern kingdom. So this is pretty much Ephraim and the other 9 tribes that's with him that we're talking about at the moment. Not to say that Judah was being 100% righteous at this time, but we were maybe a little bit more right, because we didn't go into captivity some years later after them. Also, I'd like to give kudos to young brother Tyre. He stepped up last week. He's getting better, doing better. And that's things, stuff like that is things that we should compliment because this has to go on. Come next year is going to be like 100 years that we've been knowing ourselves in this land. And we have to have more and we have to do more. And we have to push for all of us, the young men and the young women, to do better and be better, to learn this law and to teach this law, because y'all have to be able to affect and influence the people that y'all are around that's in y'all generation. Because a lot of older people, they've been around, people that came into law as they got older, they've seen the outside life and they learned that there was nothing out there for them. So it was very easy for them to accept this understanding because it is truth. And once you've seen dirt and when you see clean, you're like, all right, so this, like Malcolm X said about the clean water and the dirty water. That's, showing them the difference. So when they've seen that way of life and they come and they see this way of life and this understanding, it's easy for them to grab this. But a lot of times when people are born into Torah, or those of us that were born into this understanding, some of us may not get to see the outside world. Some of our people may not get to see the outside world the way others did and they experienced it, and they want to experience it so bad. So a lot of people put themselves out on that limb to get that little worldly experience that they don't need. And when you have this understanding and then you step aside from it, coming back ain't really the same. Or the punishment that you would have received if you didn't know God from the beginning ain't the same because you knew better. And it's important for young people to know and understand that you have a leg up because, most of us have a leg up because being born into this, there's a lot of things that we didn't do. We didn't call on the name of a foreign god. We didn't put a lot of detestable things in our bodies, not knowing better. There's a lot of acts that we didn't commit or we should have not committed because we knew better. So keep that. Stay strong. Don't let the outside world influence you. Let this influence you. Believe me when I tell you, you can speak this law, and you can speak this understanding to anybody, and they will see a light in you that they won't see in anybody else. You don't try to be like them and make yourself like them, and you want to be accepted by that crowd, and thinking that, oh, if I talk like them, if I move like them, and I act like them, this is how they're going to accept me. No, you could be exactly who you are. You could speak this law. You could bring God up in every conversation. Like in one of my engineering classes, how did X, Y, and Z happen? God, blah, 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 blah. God. The more science I learn, the more I realize God is always in the equation. Because things don't just happen. It's impossible. This had to be built by somebody. If I just told you it came together right here, y'all wouldn't believe me. So same thing it is with the universe. So never be afraid to be you, be an Israelite, and talk about God. And I kind of got a little bit sidetracked, and I'm taking time from the lesson, but we need to encourage one another as we grow up in this, because I want to be in this seat one day, and maybe God willing we're not even here. God willing we're in the land, and if not in the land, we're in a much bigger place that can seat more people to hear God's word. But I want to be 60, 70 years old, looking at the young men before me, teaching the next set of God's people, if all of us are not knowing Torah at that point. So keep up the good work, and the rest of the young men that hasn't stepped up yet, I pray that y'all get the courage to get ready. I was studying Mike Tyson a little bit this week and listening to all his interviews. And he was saying that his trainer, Customato, told him that the coward and the hero feels the same thing. They both feel that same fear. But the difference between the coward and the hero is the decision that they make, the thing that they decide to do with that fear. The coward runs away from the task. The hero runs towards the task. So that gave me courage before I came up this week, because I'm always nervous when I'm up here, and Torah YAH I'm a little bit more relaxed now. But listening to that, gave me courage to come before the Most High God's people. Because it's easy to talk to people that don't know Torah, because you're bringing information into them that they're going to be like this. But then when you have to bring information to people that already know it, making you feel like, what am I going to bring to them that's going to have, them pull to me like, oh, man. Oh, she threw that drink in her face again? That's what our people like. So be courageous. It's nothing wrong with feeling fear, because it happens to all of us. We all get that fear. That's right. But it's what we're going to decide to do with that fear that, will put us on one side of the fence or the other. Amen. Now, we're going to finally start in the book of Hosea, chapter 12, verse 13.
We're in the book of Hosea, chapter 12, verse 13. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Yaakov fled into the field of Aram. And Yisrael served for a wife, and for a wife he kept sheep. So right off the bat, we see where this portion connects with the Sidra for today, Wayetzei. And in today's portion, we see a lot happening. And I know for years, and a lot of people like to teach that what happened between Jacob and Esau and their father Isaac, even though it was the way it went, a lot of us like to look at it like that's how it was supposed to go, because we're the ones that benefited from the blessing. But if we put ourselves in Esau's shoe for a second, imagine how you would feel if your own flesh and blood, because there's a difference when he sold him the birthright. It was foolish of Esau to sell his birthright, but at that point, he bargained for it. But now we get to the instance with Isaac, and the blessing, even though he was following the command of his mother, he still stole his brother's blessing to an extent. We may want to, it was supposed to happen that way, and he was the one that's supposed to be blessed, and Isaac may have known, the Most High God may have moved his spirit at that moment to still say, no, bless this son, because Isaac was asking a lot of questions. He felt like something ain't going on here, but the spirit of the Most High probably just moved him to still bless this son anyway. That doesn't mean that what Jacob did was right. Some may not look at it that way. I'll say that I look at it that way. That what Jacob did at that moment wasn't right. And then we see in this portion here that Laban, his uncle, he didn't change his wages once, not twice, but he changed his wages 10 times. So because he was in a situation where he beguiled somebody, we see that most of his life living with his uncle, he was beguiled from the very beginning. It says right here, Jacob fled into the field of Aram, and Israel served for a wife. So we know
Jacob served for one wife, ended up with 2 wives, 2 handmaid concubine wives, and that's not what he bargained for. He came there for one thing and ended up working. He came to serve 7 years, ended up serving 20, 4 wives, 12 children, 101 headaches, or 99 headaches. And yes, his Esau was one of them. Not Shem, actually. But so in this portion today, we see where Jacob starts to have children with these women. It's not Shem. And with Leah, we see a certain character that we don't see in Raquel. And, you know, this is just my understanding. You ain't got to go with it. But seeing the character that Leah had versus the character that Raquel had can make me understand why the Most High God opened her womb the way he did. Aside from the fact that the portion says that she was hated, and this is why the Most High God opened her womb, we also see that in all of the name of her children, she was always thinking about her, you know, like she said, Reuben, to see a son, Shimon, he's heard. She's married, she's not just marrying herself unto Jacob, she's marrying herself unto his understanding and to his God. And then she called her third son Lewi. Now we will be joined. And then we get over to Judah. We see that she says, now I will praise his God, you know. So in all her ways, she married herself unto him. Where as we see the character of Raquel, she's not thinking about Jacob's customs and Jacob God the same way Leah is. She's running to him like, give me a son, you know, give me a child. And this is why Jacob is saying to her, you know, it's not in my power to do that. But if she married herself to his understanding, she would have known that saying something like that to him wouldn't have even worked in the first place. So in this portion, you know, we're going to see a lot of turmoil and strife going on within the family. And right now, we're dealing with Ephraim. This is Hosea talking to the tribe of Ephraim in the northern kingdom. This is before they go into captivity about 40 to 60 years prior. So we talk about Israel serving for a wife. That relates to the portion today. 14.
And by a prophet, Yahweh brought Yisrael up out of Egypt, and by a prophet was he kept.
So this is now talking about Moshe. Fast forward some years later. So Yisrael, we was brought forth out of the land of Egypt by a prophet, and not just any prophet, but a prophet that we despised. We asked for the Most High God to take us out of a situation. He took us out of the situation, and because we weren't receiving the same things that we were in that situation, we were upset. Because we didn't have Wi-Fi, we didn't have the big screen TVs, we didn't have the comfortable couches, we didn't have all those things to go along with it, we forsook the prophet. And even then, the Most High God still kept us, because Moshe, as we see, or we will see again later on, we kept turning our back against the Most High God, and what did Moshe do? He prayed. If Moshe was from any other tribe, probably Judah specifically, if the Most High God said, step aside and let me, you know, get rid of this people and make a nation of you, Moshe would have simply said, just like that. We will all be Judites. That's a fact. So let's go to verse 15.
Ephraim have provoked most bitterly. Therefore shall his blood be cast upon him, and his reproach shall Yahweh return unto him.
So from our exodus in Egypt all the way up until this point in our history, we're still provoking the Most High God. The Most High God sought to do away with us then, just as he does now. Around this time, it's around 780 something CE. Well, no, BCE, before Common Era. So this is almost 3,000 years ago that we still provoke God. Until this day, think about the things that we may do, you know, in this time that cause ourselves to provoke the Most High God. And this time, our nation, again, was into calf worship. We was doing the calf worship when we left Egypt. And as we could see, you know, we might not get through the rest of this portion, but you could read it on your own, that we got into calf worship yet again. Cows. Talking about cows, you know. And a lot of times we may laugh at Indian people because, you know, we talk about the traffic and stuff they have over there, because if a cow's crossing the street, nobody's going to do nothing about it. That was our people. We was worshiping calves. And we was worse because we made calves out of gold to worship. Like, out of all the things you can make, you want to make. And this is what the Most High God is talking about in the portion, the idolatry that we have. Let's go.
Chapter 13, verse 1. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
When Ephraim spoke, there was trembling. He exalted himself in Yisrael, But when he became guilty through Baal, he died. And now they sin more and more, and have made their molten images of their silver, according to their own understanding, even idols. All of them the work of the craftsmen. Of them they say, they that sacrifice, men kiss calves.
So the breakdown of this part, because it's talking about they that make sacrifices kiss calves, is like they basically saying, because at this point to them the calf is like it's an idol, so it's a representation of a deity that they're worshiping, and the sacrifices, or at least the understanding that, you know, from the commentary is saying that they basically sacrifice their children to make themselves worthy to kiss the calf. You know, it says, and now they sin more and more and have made them molten images of their silver, according to their own understanding, even idols. All of them the work of their craftsmen. Of them they say, they that sacrifice men kiss calves. So, in that time, that was pretty much positive for them. Same way we have people handing over all their money to places that don't benefit them. You know, we talk about it all the time. People donate pretty much their whole check, and when they hit hard times, the same people that they're giving their money to can't help them. Oh, let's pray for sister so-and-so, let's pray for brother so-and-so. Nah, all that money that they was giving you over that time, help them sustain themselves until they get back on their feet. As it is here with our forefathers, we were worse because we sacrificed our flesh and blood, our children, to be worthy enough to kiss something that didn't benefit us. So this is the Most High God telling us directly, you know, us making idols and stuff that does benefit us. So we did that, caused ourselves to sin against the Most High God, and we could do is skip down to verse 7.
Chapter 13, verse 7. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Therefore, I am become unto them as a lion. And as a leopard, I will watch by the way. I will meet them as a bear that is bereaved of her whelps, and will rend the enclosure of their heart. And there will I will devour them like a lioness. The wild beast shall tear them.
So this is the Most High God telling us the punishment that he's going to give us because we turned our back against him and went back to idol worship. He's going to be like unto us like a lioness, a leopard, like a bear. Lion, a tiger, a bear, oh my, you know. So these are things that none of us will have the courage to face, but we do things against the Most High God that would cause him to have these things happen to us. You know, like Tair was saying last week, because the Most High isn't always before us, we do things that would not be so favorable in his sight. But I was thinking to myself again, going back to what I was studying, if we had somebody as tough as Mike Tyson in the midst of us continually, will we offend him? I mean, you know, no matter how capable of a fighter you think you are, some people may try, but then after he knocked that person out, then after he knocked the next person out, and the next person and the next person, we gonna pretty much get the picture like, all right, maybe we should stop disrespecting this person. Captivity after captivity after captivity, Israel didn't get the picture that we should stop disrespecting the Most High God. I pray that you all got something out of what I said this day. Even though I didn't get to finish the portion, just understand that what this portion was teaching us today is that Israel turned its back against the Most High God. The Most High God once again provided a way for us to get back to him. And let us understand that in this day and time, the Most High God, as long as we have life, is continually providing a way for us to get back to him in all our ways. And I pray that we do that. I also pray that you all got something out of what I said this day. And I want to say Torah YAH for giving me the strength and the ability to speak before his people this day. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Thank you, the Most High God, for the life of Elquana, being Chief Elquana, being Yehuda. And they do have stories like that about Mike Tyson. Serious ones, too. We thank the Most High God for this day once again. And with that, we're going to move straight ahead, and I'm going to call up the teacher for the portion, for the sidra for today, which will be Chief Naphtali Ben Don. Hallelujah. Come on.
Shavuna. May the words of my lips and the meditation of my mind be acceptable before you, O Yah, my rock and my redeemer. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Giving all thanks and praise, honor to the God of our forefathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the great, mighty, and revered God, the Most High God, who granted us life this day and gave us peace on this holy Shabbat day. I bid you honor to my forefathers. Shabbat, Shalom, Shalom, Lakem.
Shabbat, Shalom, Shalom, Lakem.
How's everybody doing today? Everybody's well? Okay. Hallelujah. Showing respect to the Chief Prince of D.C.B, Prince Yediel Ben Yissaskar. Crown Prince is in the house today.
Amen.
I'm giving you some time, Crown Prince. I ain't gonna overdo it. Hallelujah. To the mothers, brothers, and sisters, I thank you this day for even being here, taking part of the Most High Shabbat day, to recognizing that God created the heavens and the earth and he did it alone. Amen. I am going to be doing the portion today. Starting at Genesis 28, chapter 10. Before I get into the portion, I wanted to send my heartfelt condolences out to our brother Mordecai. He lost his father this week. So, you know, I got the information very suddenly, like many other people probably got it. But just to hope that the Most High God will grant him healing and peace in this time, because it's no joke to lose a parent in any way, shape, or form. I also lost somebody, so I lost my grandmother this week. Thursday morning, I was just trying to get out the house, and then, you know, I got the call. We were trying to prepare for it. There was a lot of things going on, complications. And, you know, doctors was like, you know, at this point, if we do certain things, it'll probably be worse, whatever, so we was just preparing for it. You know, you never think it's going to happen that soon. You know what I mean? So, but Torah Yah, she was 90 years old. Amen. So, yeah, she was 90, and she was a strong woman. You know, everything was fine up until 2 years ago. So it's you know, she had the strength, she had the vigor in her life. She raised my father, she raised my uncle, she raised my other uncle, Uncle Ishmael, Alfred, my father. So, you know, I just thank God that the Most High God gave her the time that he gave her. And, you know, that she's going out in peace and wellness and in the satisfaction that she did her job and did her job well. So the portion today is Wayetzei. And we're going to read about some of the trials and tribulations of our father Yaakov. You know, it seems that Yaakov's troubles don't cease, but it's part of getting a blessing. You know, you think about it in these terms, you know, Esau was very upset at Yaakov. First, he thought that he jerked him out of the first birthright, which he didn't. Esau lied. He didn't jerk you out of anything. You had a bargain. That's right. Right? Y'all had a bargain. He had a deal. The deal was, listen, bro, if you care about this that much, you sell me your birthright. But God said he despised his birthright. Because this is something that you get, that God grants you, you don't sell for beans. You don't sell for lentils. When you come into this way of life and you make an agreement with God, you don't sell this out just because, oh, me and my husband had an argument, I ain't doing this no more.
That's right, brother.
Or somebody in the congregation talked about me, I ain't doing this no more. That don't got nothing to do with you and God.
That's right. That's right.
Because people come who they are. Because we're going to read about some of these personality disorders that we deal with, that your father Yaakov dealt with back then, some of what we deal with today. Matt talked about some personality disorders. I don't know if some of y'all read some of this stuff. If y'all did your homework, y'all read it. Y'all know that some of y'all got some of them issues too. Y'all may not have all of the traits, right, to make y'all totally dysfunctional. But you know, I read some of them. I got a little bit of that here and there myself. So it's not about pointing the finger, it's understanding yourself.
Amen.
And Yaakov had to understand who he was in terms of himself. This congregation, D.C.B, you know, just to let the air be clear, we're not in competition with anyone. The only congregation we're in competition with is ourselves. And most of the times what you don't understand is you have the obligation to do the best job for yourself.
That's it.
And you have the right to make sure that you can do that job. If you want to plant the garden, you know, you have a little fence around your garden. You need the fence around your garden because you got things called weeds and vermin and stuff that takes away stuff because you want your garden to grow right. Undesirable things. So you protect what you have against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That's your job. That's your obligation. Or else you don't have a place. Don't have a place when people be victimized and terrorized and can't walk around safe and be comfortable in their environment. It's not fair to them. It's not fair for them to be able to not worship God in the peace and the wisdom and the righteousness that God asks us to worship him in. We need that. And some of the reasons why we have so many problems because we don't have peace in our life. It is a known fact that most of the issues that you see that black people have is because they lived in an environment where they don't have any peace. We went from slavery to Jim Crow, black codes, civil rights, trying to fight for that. Then we go into our own homes where people get molested, abused, beat up. Then we got to go outside and deal with the cops. Got to go to the white man for a job. They got to tell us no darky, no blackie. That's trauma comes with those things. Trauma comes with all those things. And some of us don't know how to understand that the peace that's the wickedness and the drama that's outside don't need to be inside. That we can have peace in our homes regardless of what goes outside in the world. Baby, the world is eating me alive. Hubby, the world is eating me alive, but at least I know when I'm here, we may not have a lot, but at least we got peace. And that's what the enemy's trying to destroy. Because people come up, listen, most of us come up poor. God, nothing, he ain't rich. But what we understand is love. Even though we were Christians, we understood God. Not to the full understanding of who God is, but we understood the peace that having to worship something and having hope in something comes with. And we understood the value of one another. When you don't value the people that you're around, and this is why we have some of the issues we have, you don't have people come around you and you spit on them. That's not what you do with God's people. So when God's people have a problem with you, you got to check yourself sometimes. Everybody ain't rebelling. You step on my dignity, you're going to have a problem because sometimes that's all I got. I don't got money. I don't got the respect of this world. I could walk outside any day and get locked up for nothing. Right, Matt? Yes, sir. Locked up for nothing. Right? Obviously, they find if I find out you get released, whatever, but that's still time and energy that's taken away from me. They got my prince. I'm in the system now. I got to deal with this. I got to deal with that. So if all we have left is our dignity, our self-respect, our manhood, our womanhood, you don't take that and in the name of God, quote unquote, step on that. Because I ain't going to look at you the same. I can't look at you the same. This is the reason why we fight in the streets so hard. The people who are poor, they don't have nothing, and you give them limited resources, and they're going to fight for those resources. I was watching that, this is series Spartacus. I kind of watch it every year. It's very crazy, so it's not for everybody. But it's for sure, it's not for everybody. There's a part where they got the Romans and they took them over, and they had bread, and they were starving, and they threw the bread on the floor, and they made them fight for the bread. And believe it, these guys that once had everything, they was killing each other for that bread. One guy, his woman was pregnant, the other guy was it. They want to fight for that bread. But what keeps us in the mode of righteousness and integrity is God's Torah. That's why we keep law. We keep law so that we can remain godly despite what goes on around us. The reason why, one of the main reasons why we went into captivity, idolatry was bad, what we were doing was bad before God, but we were doing real bad, nasty, dirty things to one another.
Amen.
God said that you go and you make slaves out of your own kind. You think you don't deserve slavery if you make your own brother a slave? And we're going to read about that taking advantage of, that being told that, you know, even from your own family member, being taken advantage of from your own family member that you should be able to trust and honor and respect. But when there's selfish motivations behind what you want, you can't see the right. You can't see how to practice good in the situation because you want what you want despite what's right.
Amen.
So let's look into the portion and let the Most High God tell a story. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. We're in the portion of Wayetzei, which is found in the book of Bereshit, which is Genesis chapter 28, verse 10. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Yaakov went out from Be'er-sheba and went toward Haran. And he lighted upon a place and tarried there all night because the sun was set. And he took one of the stones of the place and put it under his head and lay down in the place to sleep. And he dreamed. And behold, the ladder sat upon the earth, and the top of it reached unto the heaven. And behold, the angels of God ascending and descending upon him. And behold, Yahweh stood beside him, and said, I am Yahweh, the God of Abraham thy father, and the God of Yitzchak. The land whereon thou liest, to thee I will give it, and to thy seed. And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in thee, and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed.
Stop right there. You know, we have to look at this from Yaakov's point of view, because this is the first time he's getting a vision from God, a message from God. Everything else came from Abraham, his grandfather, or his father, Yitzchak. So now this is the first time he's out on his own. And you remember, unlike when his father went to get a wife, you know, an emissary went with money and all types of stuff like that, so that was easy. Yaakov was traveling with nothing. He don't got nothing in his pockets. He's runaway right now. So he's having this vision. And what he's seeing is a ladder or a staircase or some type of means of portal of going up and down. And he's seeing, I don't want to use the word angels because it defeats the purpose of what he's seeing. He's seeing messengers. He's seeing messages go back and forth. And it's coming from his perspective where he's seeing these messengers. And then God is standing right next to him. Now this is not, remember, it's a dream. So God gives things based on metaphors. So it's not like the creator of heaven and earth is right there and he's seeing them and they hugging and stuff like that. That's not the way it goes. It's just that that's when he was talking, that entity that was there represented God.
Right. Amen.
And he said, I am Yahweh, the God of Abraham, giving identity now. You know, you recognize these men. This is your grandfather. This is your father. I am their God. I am Yahweh, the God of Abraham, thy father, and the God of Isaac. The land wherein thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in thee, and in thy seed, shall all the families of the earth be blessed. That's part of the blessing that his father gave him. So, continue.
15. And behold, I am with thee, and will keep thee whithersoever thou shalt goest, whether thou goest, and will bring thee back into this land. For I will not leave thee until I have done that which I have spoken to thee of. And Yaakov awakened out of his sleep, and he said, surely Yahweh is in this place, and I knew it not. And he was afraid. And he said, how full of awe is this place? This is nothing other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven.
Now, stop there. Jacob was totally wrong. But he's seeing things from a human point of view. God is not in that place. God is everywhere. Right. And what he was seeing was that the fact that God will always be with him. He was seeing the messengers of heaven go back and forth between him and the Most High. And the Most High standing right there and showing him, this is our relationship. Right. Wherever you go, this is what our relationship looks like. Israel, wherever you go, that's what your relationship with God looks like. The message, that means that he was showing him that your prayers are being heard. Somebody's making sure, you know how you give that person, the FedEx man, your package, and you expect that package to be delivered? Or you order, I know this is the better way, y'all order something online from Amazon. And y'all put in 2-day shipping. And y'all expecting for that to be for it to be coming, especially in 2 days, especially knowing that you paid a lot for the merchandise, and on top of that, you paid extra for the shipping time. You want that thing coming on time. Right. And you want the reliability of if it says USPS, UPS, FedEx, DHL, you want your thing on time. The Most High is showing you that regardless of where you're going, your prayers are being heard on high. Amen. And he's seeing that for himself. Right. So from a human perspective, he's thinking that God is in that place. And you got to give him, this is the first time he's getting any revelations from God, so you got to bear with him. He's learning. Yes, sir. But God is not with the place, God is with him. Tumshi. 18.
And Yaakov rose up early in the morning and took the stone that he had put under his head and set it up for a pillar and poured oil upon the top of it. And he called the name of that place Beth-El, but the name of the city was Luz at the first.
Amen.
And Yaakov vowed a vow, saying, if God will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go and will give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, so that I come back to my father's house in peace, then shall Jehovah be my God. And this stone, which I have set up for a pillar, shall be God's house. And of all that thou shalt give me, I will give surely 1/10 unto thee.
Tumshi.
Chapter 29, verse 1. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And Yaakov went on his journey and came to the land of the children of the east. And he looked, and behold, a well in the field. And lo, 3 flocks of sheep lying there by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks. And the stone upon the well's mouth was great. And thither were all the flocks gathered, and they rolled a stone from the well's mouth, and watered the sheep, and put the stone back upon the well's mouth in its place. And Yaakov said unto them, my brethren, whence are ye? And they said, of Haran are we. And they said unto him, know ye Laban the son of Nahor? And they said, we know. And he said unto them, is all well with them? And they said, it is well. And behold, Raquel, his daughter, cometh with the sheep.
Now that's natural. You go into a new place, people got to fill you out. You got to fill people out. So that little Q&A is supposed to happen. You know so-and-so, you got to name drop sometimes. You got to know if you're at your destination. So he found out that, yeah, he's around people that know now. Then he got the seal when Raquel rolled up on the well. Tumshi.
7. And he said, lo, it is yet high day, neither is it time that the cattle should be gathered together. Water ye your sheep and go and feed them. And they said, we cannot, until all the flocks be gathered together. And they rolled a stone from the well's mouth. Then we watered the sheep. While he was yet speaking with them, Raquel came with her father's sheep, for she tended to them. And it came to pass, when Yaakov saw Raquel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Yaakov went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother.
Now, I don't know what it was with Yaakov, but he didn't waste time. Some people say he did it because of Raquel. I think he did it because he has a work ethic that a lot of people in that atmosphere don't have. Now, we gotta wait till everybody comes. I don't got time for this. I just went all the way running from my brother. Let's do this. I don't got time. And that's the way some people, and you can see that even in the past. Yaakov was a man about his business. Tell me your birthright. Who thinks about stuff like that? So, but he's about his business. Sell me your birthright. Sell it to me. What does the birthright matter now when I just want some food?
Right.
Sell me a birthright. If it's not important to you, then why don't you just sell it? But that's the way the man of this, he was on point. He's about his business. That's the way his mind thinks. And you can understand why he got the blessing. You have to think about Esau and if the blessing actually fit him as an individual. Would it fit a personality type like that, since we talking about personality types? Think about how Yaakov, he had to be patient, understanding. If Esau had to deal with Laban, Esau would have killed him, his brothers, probably killed his wives, his own kids. That's the way his personality is. Because it wasn't about, Esau thought he got gypped out of money and power. This blessing is not about money and power. This blessing was about being the sons and the representatives of God on earth. This is not a job that you could have done, Esau. You understand it. If you read this book intensely, you understand that this is not Esau's portion. It was never meant to be his portion. That's why Rebecca, she understood. There's some things that the man don't understand because they're not going through it. And I want y'all to understand this. I don't ask y'all to feel my pain concerning certain situations. Right? When I get up and talk and I say something, you can't feel my pain because you didn't go through what I went through. Right. But I need you to empathize and sympathize sometimes. I need you to understand that my healing process may not be the same as everybody else's healing process. And you can't tell me how to heal and be the victimizer at the same time. That can't happen. It's not fair. Because there's some people that didn't sacrifice as much, and some people that didn't get embarrassed, and some people went through a lot. Without apology, without nothing to show. This is what it is. Yeah. So when it comes back and we start to understand how we're supposed to work, the things that I've learned in life is I know not to treat people the way some people treated me. Because it wasn't godly. And if this is part of the problem in our culture, is that we adapt the evil that people practice against us. Because we think that, well, that's power. Aggression is power. Yes. So then you start being an aggressive person. I can't do that. Because God says otherwise. Proverbs tell you not to envy, not to violate man and choose none of his ways. So you know that that's not behavior that he likes. He don't like us threatening one another. Telling me you ain't going to smack me in my face. It's not going to happen. Without a repercussion.
That's a fact.
So I leave the threats out. I don't threaten nobody. I don't walk on the street threatening nobody. I'm not the all else person. That's not me. Because God is in control. Those are people who feel like they need to control every damn thing. Excuse me. They need to control everything. When you feel that you need to have control and don't let God do his thing, you become a psychopath because you need to have God runs it. Sometimes the problem that we had, like Saul had a problem, he didn't understand that you didn't need to listen to what the people said. God is in the matter. Right. If God said destroy everything, God knows what he's talking about. God ain't gonna give you no bad direction. Nah, Samuel, the people said, the soldiers said, you're the king. You got the order. You're supposed to tell them what to do. So when you got that order and Shaul didn't want to listen and came up with excuses of why he wanted to do what he felt like doing, God took away things from him. Because he didn't listen to the Most High God. Brothers and sisters, God comes first. I love you. You love your wife. You love your husband. You love your children. You love your family. You love your brothers and your sisters. But God comes first. He comes first. Amen. So there's nothing that you can do to disobey him to satisfy another protocol or desire that somebody else has. Right. Amen. You can't satisfy somebody else and disobey God and disrespect God. So I'm going to break the Shabbat to satisfy my son. I'm going to eat swine to satisfy my husband. It don't work. So what will happen is God will destroy you and them. Because there's something that's coming between you and the Most High God. So those things have to be alleviated. Or else you can't worship him. Because he said, shall have no other gods before him. No other gods before him. Nothing can get in the way of your relationship with God. Nothing. Tamshi.
11. And Yaakov kissed Raquel and lifted up his voice and wept. And Yaakov told Raquel that he was his father's brother, that he was a father's brother, and that he was Rebekah's son.
No, he did that backwards. He was supposed to tell her that first and then kiss her, but he really liked her. Tamshi.
And she ran and told her father.
Right.
And it came to pass when Laban heard the tidings of Yaakov, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him into the house. And he told Laban all these things. And Laban said unto him, surely thou art my bone and my flesh. And he abode with him in the space of a month.
Everything is good now.
Yes.
Everything is live now. He's talking, yeah. You know, my aim was good. It was good. You got the thing. And Yaakov, Yitzchak is good. And everybody's good. And everybody's well. And I came here, whatever. And everybody's doing good. And everything is fine. It's been a long time. I got you. You know, I never seen y'all before, whatever. But we hear that y'all doing. All that stuff is happening. They're eating and fisting. And then bone in my bone, flesh in my flesh. Man, you know, you family. You family, brother. You family, brother. That's right, brother. And you were from a long journey. You finding comfort. You sucking all it up. You sucking all of it in. You family.
A lot of blessings come with you.
Tamshi. I don't want to give it away. Tamshi.
And it came to pass when Laban heard the tidings of Yaakov, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him. Oh, speak up. 14. No, 15. Speak up. Yes, absolutely. I apologize. And Laban said unto Yaakov, because thou art my brother, shouldest thou therefore serve me for naught? Tell me, what shall thy wages be?
Now, sometimes men talk like that and they really mean what they say. Right. Sometimes men talk like that and they got something up their sleeve. Tamshi.
16. Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Raquel. And Leah's eyes were weak, but Raquel was beautiful form.
Now,
to look upon.
And I don't want you to give the impression that I don't know that they didn't say anything about Leah's body or whatever the case may be. But imagine needing glasses in a time where glasses wasn't invented. It's rough. She had weak eyes. You know, maybe she had to look and squint every time she looked at something, whatever. But at the same time, that wasn't a fault. It didn't destroy her virtue as an individual. Right. But I want to get into later what the issue was with Leah. The reason why it was said that she was hated. But the book clearly described that Raquel was fine. Right. Not that she just was pretty, but she's pretty and she had a Coke bottle body. She was like, you know, and book don't talk like that too much. This is the first time you hear that she had a form. She was fair. She had a beautiful form. Like, you know, like everything was in the right place. So it was like, ta-da. But I know some of us, we learned our lesson. Everything that glitters ain't gold. Tamshi. 18.
And Yaakov loved Raquel. And he said, I will serve thee 7 years for Raquel. I am the daughter. Straight to the point. And God said, it is better that I give unto thee than that I should give her to another man abide with me. And Yaakov served 7 years for Raquel. And they seemed unto him but a few days.
Yo, love has that effect on you, man. It has that effect on you, like, you know, I would call it more infatuation, and he got to learn to love her. But, you know, the fact that he saw her and his heart was just towards her, that 7 years was nothing. You know, but you got to think about it. This is an investment. She's going to be my wife. I'm going to have kids. 7 years is nothing. You know, and I'm coming without a dowry. so I can just work off and work, and I can get this woman, and you know what? He probably worked Yaakov like a slave. Like a slave. Like a slave. And you know this man has sons. You don't read nothing about his sons. You read about Yaakov working another year, working again. But sometimes you gotta watch these people because they know where their blessings come from. They don't admit it. They know who the people at work and put their energy and their heart towards things. Tamshi.
For the love he had for her. 21. And Yaakov said unto Laban, give me my wife.
Repeat that, brother.
Give me my wife.
He demanded his wife. And you know what? He worked 7 years for her. And he had nothing. You know what I'm talking about. He had nothing. He was waiting for her. He had nothing. And he been working for 7 years. Getting to know this, looking on her face, just waiting for the day. Give me my wife. I know y'all brothers know what that feels. Give me my wife. I ain't had no premarital nothing. Give me my wife. I worked hard for her. Tamshi.
For my days are fulfilled. I may go into her.
My time is done. He talking to him like a man. Like, listen, Tamshi.
And Laban gathered all the men of the place and made a feast.
No.
And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah his daughter and brought her to him, and he went into her. And Laban gave Zilpah his handmaid unto his daughter Leah for a handmaid. And it came to pass in the morning that, behold, it was Leah. And he said unto Laban, what is this thou hast done unto me? Didn't I serve thee for Raquel? Wherefore hast thou beguiled me?
You know how angry? Listen, but you have to understand when you give your word to a man and you back up on their word, people have the right to be angry with you because they sacrificed their life and dedication for what you promised.
That's right.
And you break your word and you stand before, people stand before and pray and that don't mean nothing no more. Your prayer before God don't mean nothing if you can't keep your word.
That's right. Amen. That's right.
Holy what? Righteous what?
Nah.
Keep your word. Because you don't got to do nothing. Nobody asked you to go across the river to get nothing. Nobody asked you to bring back 2,000 foreskins. Nobody asked you for nothing crazy like that. Just keep your word. That's all you got to do.
Speak the truth.
Your word is your bond. That's how we have a relationship. And if there's something that happened where you can't, because it happens in life. There's things that may come up where you can't keep your word.
Tell the truth.
Some things, then be honest about it. This is the situation. They're not going to understand it because that's where my mercy comes into play.
Right.
Exactly.
Brother, I can't give you that money because I'm getting evicted tomorrow. Or this is going on or whatever the case may be. You don't give God's people your behind the kiss and think it's going to be okay. Some of us just ain't that soft.
That's right.
Some of us ain't that soft. We ain't built that way. The kindness that you were given, it should have been respected. But if you don't appreciate it, then you're not going to get it no more. And that's with everything in life. You got kids that give you their behind the kiss? Get out of my house. Get out of my house. No, don't go in the refrigerator and get no juice.
Don't pack
Don't be packing nothing. Ain't talking about I gotta drain it. No. I'm sparing you by even letting you keep the clothes you got on. But the other clothes that's in the closet, you not having those either because they're still mine.
That's right.
I got the receipts to show you, boy.
That's right.
And don't talk about making up a bed because that's not your bed no more. And you ain't responsible for nothing here no more.
Nope. Put down that coat.
Put down the coat. Do what you gotta do. Whatever. You know, everything, man. I took back TV. I took back all the video games, whatever. I even took back the weed you bought with your allowance that I gave you. Think I ain't know about that.
Chop some grass and smoke.
But this is the nature of relationships. Love, reciprocation of love and respect. You honor people if you want honor. You respect people if you want respect. If you for years, if you're hostile with me and I gave you a pass after, if I give you a pass, then you can't ask nothing more from me if I would give you a pass.
Okay.
I was trying to give you a pass for respect and mercy and love. But if you even wore out the pass,
You're the problem.
I'm not the issue. There's things that people have to learn. And listen, self-edification is not a bad thing. Look in the mirror every day. Every day and fix self. Because that sense of entitlement, that false sense of entitlement that some of our sick-minded brothers and sisters have, where you feel like you're God's gift to the earth and that you are owed everything.
Teach us.
It becomes toxic and problematic amongst a group of people in order for us to cooperate. How can we cooperate if our reward is not righteousness, or not through righteousness, or if it's through privilege? Like, I have to have blue blood in order to be special in this world. Then this is not the time for you. Because the God's people, you know what? How are we going to come? We're going to come from the projects.
That's what they're going to come.
You know what I'm saying? We're going to come from the gutter.
That's right.
We're going to come from HRA, waiting on lines. We're going to come from the shelter. We're going to come from being Crips and Bloods, and we ain't going to come perfect like you blue bloods.
That's right. Teach that.
We're going to come fatherless and motherless, parentless. We're going to come from being abused. We ain't going to have it all. We're going to come from Jamaica walking around without shoes on and just got to play. We're going to come running from stuff. So no, we ain't going to come the way you like. We're going to come the way God has us. And if you can understand that, then you understand how to fix God's people. Because, you special, you know. We ain't going to come special. We're going to come special needs, but we ain't going to come special. Tum sheet.
26. And Laban said, it's not done so in our place.
So why you ain't tell me in the first place?
Right. To give the younger before the firstborn.
So why you ain't tell me in the first place? If this is your intent, if you had a special rule, maybe you should have put me down with that rule before I asked for Raquel. But it's after that. We don't do that here in this place, whatever. How can I respect that? How can I respect you changing the game in the ninth inning? You don't do stuff like that. That's not cool. And then you want my respect after that. Tum sheet.
Listen, just fulfill the week of this one. and we'll give you the other one for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet another 7 years.
Wow.
So this is part of the problem. And if you read later on, we're going to read later on that they wasn't too kind to their father. They respected him, but you can see how they feel like, you trying to get rid of Leah, like, okay, we going to do something because Raquel he going to lose something. You're going to lose a worker. Then Leah's going to be there, but how am I going to marry Leah off? Maybe he thought that she wasn't going to get married, whatever, but he's taking advantage of Yaakov now. He's starting early, too. You know what I'm saying? Like, 7 years already. I mean, when you have this thing planned, that means you're already taking advantage of the person. Right. So if a person dedicated 7 years, that was 7 years of being taken advantage of. Right. So please understand that. It's like, I went to jail for a crime I didn't commit. I'm going to be bitter. Right. Right? Yeah. Because I served time it'd be one thing if I actually did the crime. Some things I just got to swallow, right? Like, I did it. I stole. I got caught with the drugs. I did whatever the case. You got to swallow it. Yeah. If you didn't do it, I got caught up. I walked up somewhere and I was in the bar and they caught me and all of a sudden they charged me with a murder I didn't commit. So this is the funny world. Donald Trump, he wrote some inflammatory things about the Central Park 5. No, but I'm back in the days. But the thing is, he never apologized for it. Right? They were found totally not guilty. Right? After they did their crime. Number one, you have to pay them. Because they always talk about not paying them. Like if there was certain administration here, they wouldn't have paid them no money. I'm Facebook friends with two of them on Facebook. And what I noticed is that, like, one time Ben did something for the Central Park 5. We did the viewing of the what's the name of the movie, the documentary, and then Yusef Salam came out and spoke. You know Yusef Salam, he's the dark brother that was tall. So he was saying, like, you know, just from his experience, you know, the blessing that God has given him, because he was able to still make a career for himself despite the fact that he had this mark on his record. And he said, when we get the money, he said, we're not going to change. This is a fight for social justice. So we're not going to be on the beach sipping Mai Tais and, you know, he said, not all the time. Yeah. But he said, the work to do this fight is still within us, because these guys went in, they were kids, man, they were babies. Yeah. They were babies. And they talked about the experience when they came home. The other brother, the Spanish brother, came out, and he said he used to be in the house and he couldn't go outside for a while. Psychological. Couldn't go outside. He couldn't come out of his room because he's used to being in it. That's inside. He used to being inside, and the years of growing up in a certain culture, especially in pivotal years when your growth and your manner starts to come into play. He knows how to stay to himself, not get in no trouble, defend himself if something happens. That's his life. So you don't take away time from people, because we don't have time to spare.
Exactly.
If you have an intent, put me down, because let me decide what my fate is going to be. Don't be a person that has a carrot and trying to lead me with a carrot, because you know that my ambition is towards a certain thing. And then use me, or use anybody for years towards those things. Towards your selfish agenda. That's unfair. It's been unfair. It always will be unfair.
Amen.
And you can't call yourself a just man before God and do things like that to people.
Teach us.
That's what's wrong. But you know us. We the guys that get another wife and take the TV out of the other wife home, put in a new wife home. That's her TV. Why are you going to give her the TV? You're going to take it back. But you know, we're sick like that. We think like whatever is new is better. They don't work like that. Amen. Let me tell y'all something. You have to live a life, and I know that we don't get taught that here because we're American. Or American, whether you're from the West Indies, whatever, you're still American. It's the Americas. Right? When we were slaves, we learned value towards one another because of we were constantly being victimized. The adversary saw it. So there was these things that he invented called manumission laws. Manumission laws. Anybody that does anything in the service of a white person, whether they made them more money, made them free, whatever, it began to reward culture that was divisive towards your community. That's why it's sad. We have a high level of people who are treacherous amongst us, but we have a high punishment for people who practice treachery. We don't like snitches. We don't like people that sell out. We don't like people that take advantage. But at the same time, we practice it too much. It's part of the ill dynamic of black culture. I'm trying to dig my head around it sometimes, but this is us. You know, we are the people that will pray to God, ask for mercy and stuff like that, and do cruel and insensible things to one another. It's crazy, but we do things like this. You know, it's like Greenleaf. Bishop Greenleaf, they be manipulating, and the other guy, they manipulate all the time. And you know what they say? It's not my plan. This is God's plan. And this is us. We think that we put a righteous coat on something and it makes it okay. Right. Yeah. When you strip all of that down, take away all of the turbans, the ZZs, the long skirts, all of that stuff, you see what's going on, you're a criminal. It's just the facades that look nice. The facades look nice. They come nice. But when you strip it down to the essence of what you're doing, you're just a common liar. Or a common thief. It ain't special. But this is us. This is the same people. We'll still walk into Sunday Mass knowing that the Catholic Church molests little boys. This is us. And we say, that's not all. That's not all. That's not all. The institution is messed up.
That's what it is.
When the institution gets fixed, then you can walk back. But the institution has a problem. That means that there were people that saw what happened, people told, and that people buried it under the rug. So when I'm telling you something, I'm not telling you as a liar, as a person that's looking for attention. I'm telling you to warn you. You can do what you want to do, because it's on you. But don't look at me sideways because there's things that I don't accept as a man. Because there's things that I will never accept. I'm not telling you I'm perfect. But I know enough that that's not right. Tum sheet.
28. And Yaakov did so, and fulfilled her week, and he gave him Raquel, his daughter, to wife.
You know what that had to feel like? A week of, let's hurry up. That's all it was. Because I'm just fulfilling a week for something else. There's no love, time, and attention really being paid towards me. You know, I'm just really buying time so I can get what I really want. Tum sheet.
29. And Laban gave to Raquel, his daughter, Bilhah, his handmaid, to be her handmaid. And he went in unto Raquel, and he loved Raquel more than Leah, and served him yet another 7 years. And Jehovah saw that Leah was hated, and he opened up her womb, but Raquel was barren.
Did it say that she was disliked? Did it say that he wasn't treating her too fairly? She was hated.
Right.
I want to make you understand why Yaakov hated her. Because she represented the deceit of Laban. That's the reason why. And it wasn't fair to her. Forget about Yaakov at this point. It wasn't fair to her. And she's going to mention that later on. Both of them are going to talk about it. But it wasn't fair to her. Nobody likes to be treated that way. So this is the problem that we have. Yes, Laban, he had the authority. But you have to take care of your daughter, man. That's right. Because that's your daughter. Her love and her future, it should be important to you. How she feels as a woman should be important to you. You give her away as a trick. How somebody feel like that? You don't feel like I'm a trick. That's all I am. I'm being given away as a scheme in your plot to get more money. Like you prostituting me, I'll be like, for the most part, you just dealing me off like I ain't nothing. So if he hates me, I can't be upset with him because I represent the deceit. I represent your corruption. He got to look in my face and knowing every time he sees me that he got ripped off.
Right.
But there's something special about Leah. Let's read that.
32. And Leah conceived and bore a son. And she called his name Reuben. For she said, because Jehovah have looked upon my affliction, for now my husband will love me.
So it's funny, but every time she named her initial sons, she said because of Yah. So whatever it was, she started to understand, maybe because of her plight, her sorrow, the things she was dealing with, she leaned towards more Jehovah. And you'll even see it later on when she names the last one before she stopped bearing, but Tom sheet.
33. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, because Jehovah have heard that I am hated, he has therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Shalom.
Jehovah heard me. That means she was praying. Yeah. She was praying to Yah. She was praying that something had to fix the situation. And you know, when you get sons, it's a different feeling, man, because it's like you see your posterity, right? You know, boom. Because it's important to have kids, right? God curses the person with childlessness. So if you have daughters, don't go crazy and stuff like that. You got to see them as earth. It's a blessing. You will be here. But your sons give you your name, right? Boom, his name's going to be around, man. There's going to be more, you know. And then they're workers, right? They come, but you got to, yeah, some of them are workers. And you got to see, now, I want y'all to understand something. Laban is looking at all this now, too. Oh, he had another boy. He was scheming. Yeah. I'm growing. That's the way he thinks. He thinks all of this is his.
Right.
He's a possessive, narcissistic individual. He don't understand that God is enlarging this man. He's not doing it for your sake. Tum sheet.
34. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, now this time my husband will be joined unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons.
3!
Therefore,
Back to back. Go ahead. That's right. Oh, the Levites was like, yeah. We here. Tum sheet. Levi's here. Tum sheet.
therefore was his name called Levi.
That's right.
And she conceived again, and bore a son. Chapter 30, verse 1.
No, man, you gotta give the king his due, man. Let's do this, man. I understand, though.
And bore a son. And she said, this time I will praise Jehovah. Therefore she called his name Yehuda.
This was the most powerful named child. This was the most powerful named child. I'm not trying to coat anybody's ego and all of that stuff. But I'm telling you, because, you know, if you get a chance to, if you look at the metaphysical meanings of some of these names, go get a Hebrew chart, go look at the original interpretation or meaning of each letter in their names. It is almost exactly what Yaakov blessed them with later on down in Genesis. With Reuben. Reuben is the head. He said, you the first of my strength, first of my house, whatever. That's what his name breaks down as. If you look at Levi, Levi is the authority that joins men unto the Creator. That's what his name breaks down as, and that's what he is. He's the joiner between us and the Most High. If you look at Yehuda's name, she says, this time I will praise Jehovah. And his name kind of breaks down as, this is the way to praise Yah. So it's kind of deep. But his name was very powerful because it was like almost, this is unequivocal. My God is God. This is what it is. You know, because sometimes y'all come inside this way of life and, first year, it's an experiment to you. And it's natural because you're trying to find your way in it. So as a woman, she's trying to find, this is my husband's thing. I'm used to teraphim and stuff like that. That's what she knows. But now she's going into the mode of worshiping and whatever. And now when he's born, after the 3 sons, and another one came out, it's like, it's a wrap. He's God. He's my God. He says, this time, I praise you. I means that it's not going to be, Yaakov, can you say a prayer for me? Whatever. Nah, like, we have a personal relationship now. And this is something that she's establishing with the birth of this child. Tumshi.
Chapter 30, verse 1. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And when Raquel saw that she bore Yaakov.
Woo! This is why you don't marry sisters. Go ahead, brother.
Raquel envied her sister. And she said unto Yaakov, give me children or else I die.
Let me tell you something, man. She wasn't lying about that.
Yes.
Like, another one? Another boy? That's my husband. He went for me. And she's not wrong. And she gonna call this man like, and this is how we don't understand that these things come from God. Right? Because we coming from a human point of view, and she's in her emotions. She's in her feelings right now. So she's coming to Yaakov like, you spitting out forward her, and I have none. I don't got a daughter. I don't got nothing. She said, give me children, like, not lest I die, but what is my life worth if I can't have kids? Because kids, there's a childbearing time for women. They don't have forever. So if their heart and the desires towards having kids, they want to have kids in the time they have kids. Because she ain't going to have that opportunity the rest of her life. And women want children. Excuse me. Some women want children. Look, we live in America now. Things is crazy. You know what I mean? So I ain't gonna speak for everybody. But back then, it was very important in our culture. Eastern culture, African culture, it was important to have kids. Regardless of man or not, you wanted a man so you can reproduce. Because it's a natural thing in your body that makes you want to reproduce. So she wanted kids. And she seen her sister spit out these kids like, lazy eye Leah, got all these kids? Are you serious? Are you serious? And you know, listen, and she's coming from a perspective of, she was probably putting in some work. Y'all know what I'm talking about. She was probably putting in some work. And nothing's coming out of it. Always, any type of, putting in some work. And nothing's happening. It gets you upset. Then you see her like, my goodness gracious, 4 boys back to back. Like I can't see this dude no more because she got 4 kids. So she stepped to him because she think he the problem. Which happened? Exactly what happened. Like I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. What you doing? And you know him. You know I ain't the problem. I know that, but I ain't the problem here. It ain't me. You see my work. Come shit.
2. And Yaakov's anger was kindled against Raquel. And he said, am I in the stead of God, who have withheld from thee the fruit of the womb?
I know that I heard her, but she needed to hear it. Some shit.
And she said, look, behold, my maid Bilhah, go into her, and she will bear upon my knees, and I will also be built up through her. And she gave him Bilhah, her handmaid, to wife. And Yaakov went in unto her, and Bilhah conceived, and bore Jacob a son.
So now definitely he ain't the problem, excuse me.
Yes.
Definitely ain't the problem. But you gave me a handmaid, still worked. Some shit.
And Raquel said, God hath judged me, and have also heard my voice, and given me a son. Therefore she called his name Dan.
We here, man. We here. But it's very important because it showed her that her prayers weren't in vain either.
Right.
Tamshi.
And Raquel said, no. 7. And Bilhah, Raquel's handmaid, conceived again.
Oh, Jacob is on a roll.
And
Go
bore
ahead.
Yaakov a second son.
Oh.
And Raquel said, with mighty wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister and have prevailed. And she called his name Naphtali.
So now she has 2. Dan and Naphtali. Right? But those 2 represent her struggle. Right? Struggle that she's dealing with, struggle with her trying to, because it's hard. Women don't like being barren. It's a hurtful feeling because you do feel, but you notice that the Most High God, he does that with the righteous women for some reason. Like he gives them something to work towards. Give them something to pray towards. Gives the man understanding that he's still God and he's in the picture, and that at the end of the day, it is he who grants us these gifts of life. Because you know what? When these children are born, when Yitzchak was born, you know, you're talking about 2 people who gave up on having kids. And the blessing was that Sarah was an old woman that was going to be lively again, and her body's going to start working again, and she's going to start getting her cycle again, and she's going to start having milk in her breast. She's going to have all of these things to make her a fertile woman again, which is unheard of. So when that boy was born, yeah, he was a spoiled brat. He was supposed to be, because he was the son of prophecy. He was a son of promise. And not to say that he was spoiled and bad, but he came out like, yeah, this is the one. Ishmael, get out of here. This is the one.
That's right. Still was born.
But things changed when God said, now take that one and sacrifice it. So now you see the importance. This is something that he was the treasure. He was promised. And now what I gave you, give it back.
Right.
And the fact that you have a man that's willing to do that,
Right.
that in his heart he reciprocated to God what God had given him, that man was amazing. So now you see the value of why sometimes you have to wait and pray.
Amen.
Now you see the value of why Rebecca, she had to wait because she was barren, and there was something going on that was a little bit different for your circumstance than other people. You got pregnant, and these dudes is in your stomach fighting. Right. It's like something that's unheard of. You know, people just, they move, and sometimes they give you a little bit of pain and stuff like that, but for the most part, you know, in the womb, they eat and they sleep. When they're active, they're active. It is what it is. But she thought that she was going to die. That's how rough it was. Like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep. God said, this is what's going on with you. There's two nations within your womb. They brothers, but they ain't the same. He said the younger shall rule over. So this is what something that always kept in her mind. And as I said, Yitzchak can't understand that because he's not dealing with it. He can only empathize with her. Yeah, I understand. You hurt. Come here, baby. That's what he can do. But he don't understand. Because he don't feel that pain. I don't know what it's like to have kids. Right. No brother inside here knows what it's like to have kids. Right. They come in the world and sometimes the sisters got to get cut across, cut down, cut this, whatever. But they want that child to be out of here. They want that child to live. Right. And we empathize and we holding on and she's gripping us like this, like, all that. But we're not on that table. Right. So even I go through stuff with baby mamas and stuff like that, I respect the fact that you have my seed. Right. I got to respect that. As a man, I respect that because that's no easy thing. I may curse you out later, but I respect it. It's a joke.
When Leah saw that she had left off bearing, she took Zilpah her handmaid and gave her to Yaakov to wife. And Zilpah Leah's handmaid bore Yaakov her son. And Leah said, fortune is come. And she called his name God.
So this is a funny thing. I know we live in a world, battle of the sexes world, stuff like that. I know there's issues, you know, and I clearly understand the issues that we have with polygamy because we're not too sane as a people. So some things we just don't do right. We don't do our one marriage right. So we need help, right? So, but, you know, this is the woman, because of the sake of this competition, they giving Yaakov wives that he didn't ask for. He's doing it because of this competition. Remember, he asked for one wife. He asked for one wife. So sometimes we want to take on the responsibility. If you could, it's fine. But this man got trouble for asking for one wife. And because of a sneaky uncle, wound up getting two. And because of their situation and their rivalry, wound up getting four. She gave Zilda a wife here. Because I ain't working no more and I don't want her just to be standing around having kids and, you know, even though I stopped. So Zilpah's in the play now. Tumshi.
12. And Zilpah, Leah's handmaid, bore Yaakov a second son. And Leah said, happy am I, for the daughters will call me happy. And she called his name Asher.
Amen.
And Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest and found mandrakes in the field and brought them unto his mother Leah. Then Raquel said unto Leah, give me, I pray thee, of thy son's mandrakes. And she said unto her, is it a small matter that thou hast taken away my husband? Wouldst thou take away my son's mandrakes also? And Raquel said, yeah. Therefore he was my son's mandrakes. And Yaakov came in from the field at even. And Leah went out to meet him and said, thou must come unto me. I have surely hired thee with my son's mandrakes. And he lay with her that night.
You see this man is being turned into a piece of meat? Like, I know his first was like, nah, you got conquers. I made a deal with some mandrakes. Now, mandrake was supposedly, some apple or whatever, something like a fruit, like an apple, supposed to be a love charm, aphrodisiac, whatever the case may be. But with all this stuff, you know, if it makes you feel good at the end of the day, that's cool. But God is in this. Amen. Mandrakes ain't doing nothing. Tongue shakes.
17. And God hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived, and bore Yaakov a fifth son. And Leah said, God has given me my hire, because I gave because I gave my handmaid to my husband, and she called his name Yissaschar. And Leah conceived again.
We here, Prince. Tom sheet.
And bore a sixth son to Yaakov. And Leah said, God have endowed me with a good dowry. Now my husband will dwell with me because I have borne him 6 sons. And she called his name
Zavulun. Amen.
And afterwards she bore a daughter and called her name Dinah. And God remembered Raquel. And God hearkened unto her and opened her womb, and she conceived and bore a son. And said, God has taken away my reproach.
Ooh, you see, she called herself a reproach. This is how bad she felt by not having kids. That God taking away my. I'm looking like everybody else has had. He's the first one had kids. The one I gave him had kids. The one she gave him had kids. And I'm the only one stuck without children. So she feels real bad. But God is, remember her, that means that she prayed. And God heard her. Tumsheet.
24. And she called his name Yosef, saying, Yehovah, add to me another son. And it came to pass when Raquel had born Yosef, that Yaakov said unto Laban, send me away that I may go to my own place and to my own country. Give me my wives and my children for whom I have served, and let me go. For thou knowest my service wherewith I have served thee. And Laban said unto him, if now I have found favor in thy eyes, I have observed the signs, and Yehovah has blessed me for thy sake. And he said, appoint me thy wages, and I will give it.
He's lying. He's lying. And this is the problem with Laban. Laban is saying all the right things, but he's a liar. Tumsheet.
29. And he said unto him, thou knowest how I have served thee, and how thy cattle have fed with me. For it was little which thou hadst before I came, and it hath increased abundantly, and Yehovah has blessed thee, whithersoever I turn.
Now you think that Yaakov was bragging? Some people may think he's bragging. Some people think that he's being self-righteous now, that he's being pompous. But this is what happens. There's sometimes men try to undermine your contribution to the good things that have happened.
Talk about it.
And
talk about
it.
Right. And as an individual that has done work, you have to stand up for yourself.
That's right.
When you go before a job and you have a resume inside your hand, they want you to talk about what you did at that last job. How are you going to be beneficial to this company? He's trying to make it seem like, you know, oh, I know what you did. I know that God has blessed. I'm blessed because of you and stuff like that. But Yaakov was trying to state the case that I deserve to go because I put in some good work here. I put in work that I didn't get acknowledged for. If I didn't step to you about it, you wouldn't have even talked about this situation.
Right.
You would have just let me go on and just do whatever. But sometimes there's people that, you know, they just go off and they treat you like you haven't done nothing to make what they have great.
That's right.
I remember when there was an assassination attempt. It wasn't even an attempt, we didn't even get that far, but Malcolm X's daughter was talking to the FBI agent, and the FBI, the person that she was talking, she thought it was an assassin, but it was an FBI agent, and supposedly they said that she was trying to pay her money to kill Farrakhan. And then there was a big meeting after that. There was a big meeting between Malcolm's family, the Nation of Islam at the time, and there was also an interview that happened with Malcolm's firstborn and Minister Farrakhan on Channel 2. And part of the reason why they had this climate is because, you know, they said they looked up to Farrakhan like he was an uncle. They remember this man coming to the house, and so when you say these inflammatory things about my father, you know, well, I'm not saying that it was right to try to assassinate you, but you got to understand how they feel. You know what I mean? My father's dead, and you on the mosque and calling him a traitor, they gonna feel a way about that. That stuff, that's energy that's gonna happen, that this inherited trauma that they feeling, because remember, they were there when their father got killed.
Right. Exactly.
So that's something that's not gonna erase out of their mind. And what Betty said was this, late Betty Shabazz. She said what she wants was to make sure that her husband's contributions to the nation are not forgotten. because what you try to do is, oh, he's a traitor. We're going to erase what he's done to make this thing great. She's like, nah, she wants his contribution because remember, he sacrificed his life to build that organization. So you're not going to just run and erase his name like he ain't done nothing because of mishaps and whatever and because there was some falling outs. So this is important why he stands up for himself and says what he says. You know the work I put in to make this. So before I came, man, you ain't have nothing. You and your bum sons, y'all wasn't doing nothing to make nothing happen. So when I came here, I worked. I made this place great, man. Don't do me like that.
Talk about it.
That's what I said. So when he comes and goes, you can't look at Yaakov sideways because he has his complaints about stuff because you're going to try to use me and not give me my just due. Let me go. Don't sit there and have me here working for you for the rest of my life. You good now. I made sure you was good. I built up your house, man. Do me better than that. And that's all we saying. That's all we saying. We put too much work in for you to smack me in my face. Spit on my integrity. You don't do that. That's not what brothers do in honor of brothers. Even if we have disagreements and fallouts. You see what this is? What this symbol means? This symbol means life. Right? So when you talk about what life is, I don't want you to always think about life as in terms of life and death. Life means energy, positive energy. That I could come before you, I could shake your hand, and I know that that's something that's really there. That's life. The opposite of life is not just death. It's anger, it's aggression, it's hostility, it's lies, it's deceit. Because death is not just there's things that lead towards the road to death. Some of y'all, we always thinking that it's just, no. There's people that are dying right now, and you look at them and they zombies. Because of the way they act, the way they think, the things that they do. They are in the atmosphere of death. They ain't physically dead yet, but none of us physically die before we die. Most of us, we lose our integrity, we lose our morals, we lose our understanding, and then we go. You know, you see people like, there's people like you see pass away, you're like, wow, that's a shock. Wow, Kim Porter died. She was 47 years old. She just laid down, went to sleep, whatever. Everybody's saying, but then there's people like, you know, wow, he was involved in this, he was involved in that, whatever. He got shot once before. If he passed away, it wouldn't be a surprise because he's already playing in that field. We don't play in that field. We don't want that field around us. We will fight to keep that field away from us. You call me what you want to call me. Stay out. Because I know the energy. The energy has to be right. The energy is not right, don't bring that energy around. That's what cancer is. You get sick, you get a malignant tumor, the tumor spreads. All you got to do is bring the bad energy inside. That's why God says you get the evil out of the midst of you. And you notice the more righteousness you practice, the more you find yourself around righteous people. The more wickedness you practice, the more you find yourself around wicked people. Most of us are always running in between, which in essence makes us wicked because we're undecided. So you remember when Korah dated in the Bible, you had people that were just standing around trying to figure out what side they should be on. And we say, yeah, Korah's wrong. We read that now, but if you were there, whose side would you choose? You have to think about it. Because everybody's charismatic and got a good argument. And we like picking sides of people we like. We like our favorites. We don't like our people that are righteous. We like our favorites. Yeah, I know him for a long time. I'm going to rock with him. I know him for a minute. That's my man. He gave me $5 just last week. But is he right? And sometimes our determination towards our morality, our moral compass is off. And we think that we're good people. I understand. Well, we all think that we're good people. We ain't out there busting old ladies in the head. and eating swine. We ain't doing those type of things. But it's sometimes the wickedness is not those things. It's our decision-making process is what gets us in trouble with God. It's the fact that you choose not to have conviction when a time when conviction is needed. That's why God is angry. Tamshi.
And now when shall I provide for my own house also? 31.
Right.
And he said, so what shall I give? And Yaakov said, thou shalt give me order. Thou shalt not give me order. If thou wilt do this thing, I will again feed thy flock and keep it. I will pass through all thy flock today, removing from thence every speckled and spotted one, and every dark one among the sheep, and every spotted and speckled among the goats. And of such shall be my height. So shall my righteousness witness against me hereafter, when thou shalt come to look over my hire that is before thee, every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and dark among the sheep, that if it be found with me, shall be counted stolen.
Tamshi.
And Laban said, behold, would it might be according to thy word. And he removed that day the he-goats that were streaked and spotted, and all the she-goats that were speckled and spotted, and every one that had whited, and all the dark ones among the sheep, and gave them into the hand of his son.
So you know what dishonesty is? Dishonesty is not just lying. It's the absence of truth.
Correct.
Please understand that. I ain't lie to you. You wasn't honest with me, brother. You don't got to tell a deliberate lie in order to be a liar. This man made an agreement, and what he did was so he don't have to honor the agreement, went and his sneaky sons took all the sheep that he know that he had to give Yaakov. This is what I'm talking about. And, you know, in some people's eyes, they call this intelligence. I've seen people that they think that personal ambition and deceit for gain is intelligence. I want you to stop thinking so capitalistic and American. Yeah, because they, you know, they think that, you know, these companies in this, you know, in America, a lot of them were built off of blood and slavery.
Yes.
Right? And they make laws in order to protect themselves of the fact that they have dirty money. It's the drug dealers mentality. You know, drug dealers think that way. It's hard for me to understand why you got so much problems with people selling drugs. When y'all practice the same corruption, because no, opium wasn't illegal in this country for a long time. Cocaine, all this stuff. Marijuana. I'm not saying it's cool. What I'm saying is the hypocrisy of this country, that when they want things to be wrong, it's wrong. When they want it to be right, it's right. Usually when it's white, it's all right. Now marijuana is good. Stock market. I got a marijuana dispensary company now. Yeah, but people did a lot of time in jail for a roach. For a roach. Y'all don't know what roaches are. A roach. He got caught with a certain amount of weed, and all of a sudden his life is gone. But now the white community can, you know, and what I've noticed too, I remember I was rocking with my brother Don Rule one day, you know, and this was years ago, we was in NYU. You know, we was in West 4th, the park. I saw one of my mans I went to school, he was like, yo, what's up? We was chilling, boom, 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 right? So I just paid attention to the atmosphere, and I said, you know, they allow these kids here to smoke freely without consequence. I just peeped it one time because I just like, why am I just smelling weed all over the place like it's free? Like, you know, like, because it was free. Like, and the dealer is like right there, and it's good, but everything is all good because you're protecting white lives. Just like now with the opioid epidemic, you know, the cops have to carry on that EpiPen and all of that stuff to protect them when they die and overdose. But, you know, you wasn't giving us rehab when we was on crack. You put us in jail, on top of the jail, under the jail, come out even worse. So I just want to make it clear that there's a bias when it comes to our survival. There's a bias when it comes to, so when we fight one another, we look like fools because they don't like us. They're trying to kill us. And we trying to kill us. So what chance do we have? And it's embarrassing because we have a future that should respect us, but stop looking for kids to respect you when you're not being respectful. We're not honoring them. We can't show, we can't cooperate, we can't get along, we dog each other out, and then we get mad at them at the same behaviors. I had to get upset one time because, you know, person was talking about their children not doing good in school, and you in the house smoking weed. There's nothing wrong with you smoking weed, but what example are you giving to the child that he can say, I can do this work? Because we are 70% motor, 70% physical. That verbal stuff is good. Me teaching is good. It's cute. But I have to be the song that I sing. I have to be an example because that's how we learn. Human beings learn by example. You don't teach a kid to hunt by giving them instructions inside the tent. Okay, this is what you're going to do. You take this bow, you take this arrow, and when you see it coming, yeah, you just go like this. And whatever, but you gotta make sure, nah, it's too much. The mind doesn't digest that way. The mind just digests like, you do what I do. Shh, quiet, right there, release, boom, get it. Release a little bit, next time you messed up, but release a little bit this way because it's gonna run that way. So you wanted to hit it as soon as, that's how you do it. But this is how we learn. So we look at our kids and we calling them bad. Our kids is messed up. My son got locked up. My son is this, whatever, whatever. Then look at you. Look at the example that you made. I remember one time when he was young, we got criticized for not having jobs. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, but, you know, and we grew up, we did what we had to do. But I'm like, you know, there's sometimes you have to think about the things you're telling people. Because some of us are too smart to just take it. I mean, we'll take it because out of respect, but think about that like, okay, just, yeah.
Let's process this.
Just process this for a second. If, you know, it's just like, what's that thing? American Gangsters, and she told her son, Luke, he said, Frank Lucas, he said, if your brothers, if you did this, your brothers would do this. If you were a doctor, your brothers would be a doctor. That's the way they see you. And that's the way we saw some people. Whatever this is what we would do because a lot of us don't have fathers. So I know for myself, if I want to see a better nation, I have to do better within myself. Whether they follow or not, but I have to be an example. I have to be somebody to say, well, he did what he was supposed to do, whatever the case. It's not that I'm going to be perfect at it. I'm going to fail but I'm going to try. I'm going to make that effort. I'm not going to talk like I'm there. Because some of us think we've arrived and we have not. This is a lifelong struggle. And we're still, some of us in here, 60-something, 70-something years old, and we're still working on ourselves. But that's what the Torah teaches. Torah don't teach that, oh, you graduate at the age of 70 years old. It doesn't work that way. It's a lifelong struggle. Tamshi, let's talk about this guy again.
36.
Amen.
And he said 3 days' journey betwixt himself and Yaakov. And Yaakov fed the rest of Laban's flocks. And Yaakov took him rods of fresh poplar and the almond and of the plane tree, and peeled white streaks, and making the white appear which was in the rods. And he set the rods which he had peeled over against the flocks in the gutters, and the watering troughs where the flocks came to drink, and they conceived when they came to drink. And the flocks conceived at the sight of the rods, and the flocks bore forth streaks speckled and spotted. And Yaakov separated the lambs. He also set the faces of the flocks toward the streets, and all the dark in the flock of Laban. And he put his own droves apart, and he put them not unto Laban's flock. And it came to pass, whensoever the strong of the flock did conceive, that Yaakov laid the rods before the eyes of the flock in the gutters, that they might conceive among the rods. But when the flock were feeble, he put them not in. So the feebler were Laban's, and the stronger Yaakov's. And the man increased exceeding, and had large flocks, and maid servants and men servants, and camels and asses.
Now, you may think this is a trick, and that he's doing a counteraction, but it is a counteraction towards what he did, because remember, Laban wasn't living right. And he probably knew 80%, 90% that he was going to try to jerk him in some way, shape, or form. So he prepared himself by giving 3 days distance between him and Laban, so that he can't see what he's doing. And let me tell you something. When you're working at something and you're industrious in this, you learn a thing or two. Who knows why he picked this up, but he was about his business. So you said, okay, I know what he's trying to do. I know what I'm going to do. Why? Because he had to protect himself. He didn't want to stay there forever. And he knew Laban wasn't going to let him go. So he had to do what he had to do to make sure that he can go out with some level of substance. Tamshi.
Chapter 31, verse 1. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And hear the words of Laban's son saying, Yaakov has taken away all that was our father's.
Snitch.
And all that which was our father's had he gotten all his wealth.
Snitch.
And Yaakov beheld the countenance of Laban, and behold, it was not toward him as before time.
So let me let you understand something. I know oftentimes we always have this proof is in the pudding stuff, but you have to understand energy, right? Like I said, when I told the brother about energy, we talked about Kai, shaking hands, you know what a pot of, you know what a bad energy is. You know when somebody's around you and all of a sudden they're looking at you sideways when they wasn't like that before. And you think that people are going to be comfortable in the atmosphere like that. I can't have peace in God's day knowing that you're scheming against me or there's an issue or whatever, but you're not saying nothing. So the worst thing is to have a problem with somebody and you're not open about it. That means you have no intent on solving that issue. You just coming in and you talking about me off the beamer and you throwing shots here and you trying to degrade people. This is what people do. Instead of saying, listen, this is what I feel in my heart, brother. Talk to you, you can't talk to me. I'm open to you, you can't be open to me. Because there's malicious intent. Yeah, I'm not going to talk to you if I'm about to stab you in the back. What sense does that make? We the people don't do things like that. But you will feel that energy. And it's your job to protect yourself. Some people like, oh, you got to roll with punches. And nah, you do that. You do that. You got to know when people don't mean you're good. It's important as an adult. Yaakov's mother, Rebecca, said to him, you got to leave. Because that boy going to try to kill you. And then I'm going to kill him. So you know where Esau's spirit came from? His mother. But you got to understand that. That energy's not good. That's why you don't practice that. If you have a bad, I tell people, don't be just coming to Shabbat because you think you obligated to come here.
Right.
It's not fair for you to bring your spirit inside here. That's not right. That's attitude and whatever, because my spirit ain't like that. That's the cancer. You come here with a sincere heart. If you don't want to be here, don't come here. And you want me to digest all of that. Years, man. I born this way of life. There's people coming you say shalom to them, they slide your eyes at you, give you a funny claw. Just don't give me no call. Just don't walk through the door. If your spirit is that messed up, and you wait for me to come inside the doors for you to have an attitude with me, you could have called me way before, straightened it out before we came into God's day. We refuse. That's the things we have to change. That's the things we have to change because we have to move forward. And we only going to move forward with cooperation. Let me tell y'all something. I've never seen anybody in this nation get anointed. I've never seen no prophet come and pour oil on anybody's head. I've never seen a revelation what everybody seeing God said. I've never seen nobody's staff grow almond buds. Never seen it. We're chosen together.
Right. Okay.
And if you understand that, then you will understand the work that you all collectively have to do to make this thing happen. Because it's not on one person. It's not on a group of individuals. This is a collective work of progress that we have to make happen in order for us to succeed as a people. So I know some of y'all like coming out. I'm just sitting down and I'm reading and I'm listening to the teacher. But there's a job you have to do after you leave here. There's work you have to get done after you go. That's why God calls you. God don't call you here to be entertained. You could go anywhere to be entertained. I could be at the Apollo right now. But God calls us here to learn to do the work. You go to school in essence to get a job. That's why you go to college. That's why you graduate from high school, so you can work. And that's our job. Our job is to do God's will, his work in this earth. Not just to stand around and do nothing. I know it's cool. It's cool to be around and shake hands and we be good and we eat during the break. Hallelujah. But we got a job to do. Tamshi.
And Jehovah said unto Yaakov, return unto the land of thy fathers and to thy kindred, and I will be with thee. And Yaakov sent and called Raquel and Leah to the field of the flock. And he said unto them, I see your father's countenance. That is not toward me as before time, but the God of my father hath been with me. And ye know that with all my power I have served your father. And your father hath mocked me and changed my wages 10 times, but God suffered him not to hurt me. If he said thus, the speckle shall be thy wages, then all the flock bore speckles. And if he said thus, the street shall be thy wages, then all the flock bore street. Thus God has taken away the cattle of your father and given them to me. And it came to pass at that time that the flock conceived, that I lifted up my eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the he-goats which leaped upon the flock were streaks, speckled and grizzled. And the angel of Jehovah came unto me in a dream and said, Yaakov. And I said, here am I. And he said, lift up now thine eyes and see the he-goats which leap upon the flocks of streak, and speckled and grizzled. For I have seen all that Laban doeth unto thee. I am the God of Bethel, where thou didst anoint the pillar, where thou didst vow a vow unto me. Now arise and get thee from out of this land and return unto the land of thy nativity. And Raquel and Leah answered and said unto him, is there yet any portion or inheritance with our father, with us in our father's house? Now are we not accounted to him as strangers? But he has sold us, and he hath also quite devoured our price. For all the riches which our God has taken away from our father, that is ours and our children's. Now then, whatsoever God has said unto thee, do. Then Yaakov rose up and set his sons and his wives upon camels. And he carried away all his cattle and all his substance which he had gathered. The cattle of his getting which he had gathered in Padan Aram to go into Yitzchak his father into the land of Canaan.
Now, just to go back to what Raquel and Leah said to Yaakov, their husband, they basically told him, like, you know, are we not like we ride with Jews, so he looks at us funny too. And for all the riches which God had taken away from my father's house, and now, so are we not counted to him by strangers, for he hath sold us and have also quite devoured our price. That means he gave us away for money. He didn't care more about us, he cared more about profit. Tamshi.
Now Laban was going to shear his sheep, and Raquel had stolen the teraphim that were her father's.
Bad move.
And Yaakov outwitted Laban the Aramean in that he told him not that he fled. So he fled with all that he had, and he rose up and he passed over the river and set his face toward the mountain of Gilead. And it was told Laban on the 3rd day that Yaakov was fled. And he took his brethren with him, and he pursued after him 7 days' journey, and he overtook him in the mountain of Gilead. And God came to Laban the Aramean in the dream of the night. And he said unto him, take heed to thyself, that thou speak not to Yaakov either good or bad. And Yaakov and Laban came with Yaakov.
He didn't listen, though. Tamshi.
Now Yaakov had pitched his tent in the mountain, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the mountain of Gilead. And Laban said unto Yaakov, what hast thou hast done? Thou hast outwitted me, and carried away my daughters as though they were captives of the sword.
Lying. Lying. Tamshi.
Wherefore didst thou flee secret, and outwit me, and didst not tell me that I might have sent thee away with myrrh, and with song, and with tabret and harp?
He's lying. He's mad because things didn't go the way he wanted them to go. Tamshi.
And didst not suffer me to kiss my sons and my daughters.
Lying.
Now thou hast done foolishly. It is in the power of my hand to do you hurt. But the God of your father spoke to me yesternight, saying, give heed to thyself, that thou speak not to Yaakov either good or bad. And now that thou art surely gone, because thou so longest out of thy father's house, wherefore hast thou stolen my gods? And Yaakov answered and said to Laban, because I was afraid. For I said, lest thou shouldest take thy daughters away from me by force. With whomsoever thou findest thy gods, he shall not live. Before our brethren discern, thou wouldest dine with me, and take it to thee. For Yaakov knew not that Raquel had stolen them. And Laban went into Yaakov's tent and into Leah's tent and into the tent of the 2 maidservants, but he found them not. And he went out of Leah's tent and entered in Raquel's tent. Now Raquel had taken the teraphim and put them on the saddle of the camel and sat upon them. And Laban felt around all about the tent, but found them not. And he said to her father, let not my lord be angry that I cannot rise up before thee. For the manner of women is upon me. And he searched, but found not the teraphim. And Yaakov was wroth, and strove with Laban. And Yaakov answered and said unto Laban, what is my trespass? And what is my sin that thou hast hotly pursued after me?
So they got into a big argument. Time sheet.
Whereas thou hast felt about all my stuff. And what hast thou found in all thy household stuff? Set it here before my brethren and thy brethren, that they may judge betwixt us. These 20 years have I been with thee. Thy ewes and thy she-goat have not cast their young. And the rams of thy flocks have I not eaten. That which was torn of beasts brought it not unto thee. I bore the loss of it. If my hand didst thou require it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Thus I was. In the day that the drought consumed me, and the frost by night. And my sleep fled from my eyes. These 20 years have I been in thy house. I have served thee 14 years for thy 2 daughters, and 6 years for thy flock. And thou hast changed my wages 10 times. Except the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Yitzchak had been on my side, surely thou hadst sent me away empty. God has seen my affliction and the labor of my hands, and gave judgment yesternight. And Laban answered and said unto Yaakov, the daughters are my daughters, the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks. All that thou seest is mine. And what can I do this day for these my daughters?
Selfish dude.
And for these my children whom they have born.
Tumshi.
And now, come, let us make a covenant, I and thou, let it be a witness between me and thee. And Yaakov took up a stone and set it up for a pillar. And Yaakov said unto his brethren, gather stones. And they took stones. And they made a heap, and they did there by a heap. And they did eat there by a heap. And Laban called it Yegad HaSahaduta, but Yaakov called it Gal-Ed. And Laban said, this heap is witness between me and thee this day. Therefore was the name of it called Gal-Ed. And Mitzpah, for he said, Jehovah watch between me and thee when that we are absent one from another. And if thou afflict my daughters, and if thou take wives besides my daughters, no man being with us, God is witness betwixt me and thee. And Laban said unto Yaakov, behold this heap, and behold this pillar which I have set up betwixt me and thee. This is the heap of a witness, and a pillar shall be witness that I shall not pass over this heap to thee, that thou pass not over this heap the pillar unto me for harm. The God of Abraham and the God of Nachor, the God of their fathers, judge betwixt us. And Yaakov swore by the fear of his father Yitzchak. And Yaakov offered a sacrifice in the mountain and called his brethren to eat bread. And they did eat and tarried all night in the mountain. Chapter 32, verse 1. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And in the morning Laban rose up and kissed his sons and his daughters and blessed them. And Laban departed and returned unto his place. And Yaakov went on his way. And the angels of God met them. And Yaakov said when he saw them, this is God's camp. And he called the name of that place Mount BINAH. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Brothers and sisters, I hope you got something out of what was brought forth. Yeah. Hoping and praying that the Most High God will bless the rest of our week and give us understanding throughout. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
With time that we do have left, I'll extend the floor out to Nasik Zarishada ben Yehuda. Hallelujah.
Shabbat. Well, look, I got to be a speed demon for half a moment. So first of all, I give praise to the Supreme Eternal Universe, God of my forefathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and due respects to the Chief Prince of this house, Princess, Chief Brother, Sister Maureen, and Samar, and everybody else that's visiting. Greeting in time of forefathers, Shabbat Shalom, Shalom Aleichem.
Shabbat Shalom, Shalom.
Well, that's enlightening. One of the things that's being, I'm proud to say, it was in the Genesis, that's one of my favorite chapters, and I'm proud to say I'm being a real exponent of BINAH ZYKEEN. And it's not too many pure BINAH ZYKEEN exponents, products are still left. Right. And though, you're fortunate that even, the Chief Prince from this particular house, when he came into the last days of BINAH ZYKEEN. Some people don't know that. So I mean, you got roots, and you got offshoots of a lot of things that's going on. You got brothers that from BINAH ZYKEEN that's most people don't look at as being pure exponents of BINAH ZYKEEN, such as Chief Elazar. You got brothers that's different places, like guys I communicate with, Chief Shakur, Chief Asel, Prince Shamgad. Yeah, most people talk to Yoel, even though he's, Prince Yoel. You got Prince and Prince Mishadai, and Chief Prince Hezekiah, my protege. That's where they got their start. That's how we say a real pure exponent is where you got your start.
Right.
All right. Now, where you finish is a whole nother thing. All right. But where you started, where your roots at, you know, and so a lot of times we look at the fruit and we never look at the root. You know, and sometimes we gotta look at the root because that usually stick around a lot longer than the fruit. Right? So to say that, I like to look at a couple of things too. Genesis is one of the trademarks of BINAH King because you never really graduate from that. You know, you get more involved in Genesis, and like when dealing with Adam, for instance. The first question the Creator asked him is, "Where are you?" That's the first question he ever asked man. Where are you? You know, and he asked that when he was hiding. But you notice he never said, "Why are you hiding?" Because when you ask a person why they do something, it's always a defensive posture they take. But he used the word, and he didn't say, "Apho, where here you hiding?" And then say, "La'an, where to are you hiding?" It said, just use the plain ayeka. Where? Because so the Creator is not looking for a why you did something, but do you realize where you at the time and as a result of you doing something? So anytime you ask somebody why they did something, they can always come with a reason. Always come with an excuse. But when you ask them where you at after they did something, then there's no excuse because you should know where you at.
Right.
You should know the results. You should know your state of being.
Right.
So look at yourself. Not why you did what you did, but look at yourself of where you're at now. You know? And and a lot of times people don't see themselves. That's what one of the things about the parable that Nathan the prophet brought to Dawid. Even though he judged stricken in the law would require, he seen that he was wrong. You know, so he made such a harsh judgment on something that's written in Torah that has a lighter judgment. Let's look at the next thing. When they talk about Adam and say these are the generations of Adam, the first thing they talk about is not what sons he had. It talks about him being created in the image of the Creator. So that means that you can't see the image of the Creator in each and every individual. That is the true generation. That you can't see any kind of godliness or godly likeness in any individual. People ask me many times, what would it take for Israelites to get together? Can we get together? I said, it's not in the power of Israelites to get together, but it's in our power to get along. You know, the Creator, it's written in the prophecy, he that scattered you will gather you, like a shepherd does his flock. All right, the Creator is supposed to gather us, right or wrong? I mean, if we're reading the same book. All right, but we could get along on our own. We don't need the Creator to help us do that. We just have to want to do that. Let's look even further down. I'm going to speed read just a little bit, highlight some things. You know, with Abraham, well, I'm going to go past a little bit of Abraham, just since time is tight. I'll probably discuss things on the side. But, all right, but one of the things is that dealing with this particular sidra, I spoke a while back from this particular beamer here, a reference to archetype. Now, archetype is, you know what I mean, is what people personify. It's like saying, or it's almost like a stereotype, similar to that. Watermelon, black man. Liquor, drunk, Irish. You know, but when you know, pork chop, greasy mouth, that may be the preacher. You know, on Sunday night. You know, at the big dinner. You know, but one of the things that is we confuse the archetype with the individual. When we look and get deep into Esau and Yaakov, Esau was very much victimized in the story. Now, he wasn't all we want him to be.
Right.
And we're never, we always tend to want to be more than what we are, but we never being what God wants us to be.
That's right.
So here, Esau come from the field, weak, faint, hungry, at the point to die. The book describes that.
Right.
Where's the hospitality of Abraham? Remember, these guys were 15 years old before Abraham died. So where's the hospitality of Abraham? Why I got to strike up a bargain now when you're at the point to die? And when I'm asking something from you, I'm at the point to die.
Right.
I'm so weak that I can't feed myself. I say, feed me. Feed me. Because I'm too weak to even feed myself. That's how the book describes it, unless y'all read something different. I want to make sure we read the same thing. All right. So when we look at stuff like that, then you're going to say strike a bargain? Then I'm supposed to go to a meeting later on this evening, after Shabbat, about judges and stuff like that. So I'm kind of very meticulous about evidence that's presented, looking for the facts and the truth. All right, and so one of the things that when you look more about Yaakov, his words was to his father, when he asked him with his very son, he said, "Anoki, Esau, bekoreka." I am. Pause. Esau's your firstborn. So now, you ask me, I'm your son. I am Esau, your firstborn. That changes the dynamics from what they call pausing, putting a comma after I am. Do you follow what I'm saying? Okay. He said, I am, straight up. But technically, he didn't say, I am Esau if you put the pause behind I am. I just had to bring it like that, just in case some people might not quote it. All right. So one of the things is that when we get to Laban, is it not better that I give it to you than anybody else? Stay with me and work 7 years. He didn't say he's going to give it her, Raquel. He didn't say that. He just said, is it not better? You follow what I'm saying? I mean, we watch all these judge stuff on TV and all this stuff and look for evidence and cold case files and stuff like that. I mean, I know a lot of people look at that. So I'm saying he never promised her Raquel in the first place. Right. He doesn't say, is it not better that I give it to you than any other man? Stay with me. He should have said, look here, I need a good clause. We would call measure for measure. Right. His word game with his Abba, he got played with a word game. Now let's go a little bit further. I'll tell you, you gotta look at technicalities. Right. All right. Now, and if I'm trying to do the best I can, not saying I'm the best I should be, but I'm saying I'm trying to do the best I can. All right, is that when you look even closer at the situation, and it says that on the night, the big night, the great night to come up, that Laban has switched and gave a Leah, all right, instead of Raquel. Now they say Leah was bad looking, but when you squint, it takes away a little something. But they say the rest of the stuff was out of place. They say the rest of the stuff was out of place. But the first one he met was the first one he's dealing with. And you want somebody with some good eyes to watch your property. So she was out there with the sheep. You follow what I'm saying? All right. Now let's look deeper into this. What he hate is not so much Laban tricking him, but he seen himself tricking his father. She remind him of what he did at night in a tent under dark. So every time I see you, you remind me of me, and I can't stand a part of me. Boy, I tell you, they can get funky. They can get funky. You know what I mean? But you got to look at situations. Why you mad? Because it reminds you of you. And some people hate themselves because they see their negativity and they say, man, I can't stand it. It reminds me of me. And you're exposing what I am, what I did. A couple more things about just share some things. Just share some things, and I'm only sharing highlighting points because I know I'm out of here, I want people to be able to judge matters a lot more closer, and not be caught up in the hype. Look thorough in them books. Look thorough in the scriptures. Look thorough at those words. That when we look even further into the situation about Yaakov and Laban in that area there, that you have a woman such as Leah, like when Chief Naphtali been down brought out. That's the quick wedding celebration ever that you read about in scriptures. A whole week and it's over. The thrill is gone. That's what you look at. The thrill is gone. And one of the things is that Leah, what most people overlook, she was destined to be barren. That's why I said the Creator opened her womb. So it wasn't just Raquel barren. Leah herself was barren. That's why I said the Creator opened up her womb. That's in the book. I mean, y'all read that part, didn't you? I just want to make sure, because sometimes I wonder people reading the same thing I read. So in order for us to get along, we got to agree on some things that's written, since I didn't write it. All right, and so to notice the mentality, and it's a lesson to be learned in that, is that Leah named her sons, and matter of fact, she named 9 of the children. 9 of the 13 children that Yaakov had, she named 9. Technicality is with Lewi. That's technicality, because we always say she named them, but in Hebrew it says he called his name Lewi. So that's another story. But for general talk, 9 of the children she had out of the 13 that Yaakov had. So let's look further. Each time she talked about her affliction being seen. Now, sometimes you can see a person being afflicted if you're getting beat down. But if you ain't getting beat down, slapped up, punched up, stomped out, hit up, then how can you tell if the person is afflicted? But she said, but sometimes psychologically people could be afflicted so deep, so strong, and they have their poker face. So when they had that poker face, is that the Creator has seen her affliction, and she named the son accordingly. Second time heard. Now, normally we hear, 40 years later, Moses says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one." All right? He tells us to hear 40 years later. And hearing is essential because you can hear different things in a person's voice. But most of the things we learn is from seeing, out of all the 5 senses. 80% of what we learn is from seeing. And one of the things is we could see, as far as on a clear day, on a certain vantage point, we can see more than 50 miles. More than 50 miles. So you can see a lot further than you could hear. So she recognized the distance and the pride of the senses that's involved when she named her first son. That the Creator was able to see the affliction that's going on. But everything was about not the Creator so much, and the first few sons. It was about her and her relationship. Every son she named was up to the fourth one was predicated on her relationship with her husband. Not the Creator, but on her husband, with her husband. And when she finally got to the fourth son, Yehuda, which I could break down that name a little bit too, but I got a lot of children. but anyway, that's another story. But when we got to Yehuda, she said, it's no longer about my husband anymore. It's about the Creator. Though I'm not getting what I want in life, I'm satisfied and have an attitude of gratitude, and that's the first person that said, thank the Creator. Hallelujah. None of the patriarchs ever said that you read on record. No other person before that time has said praise or thanks to the Creator, but her. And when you're thanking them not because all the time, I gave a question to my son one time, the person that died, when you say, I'm going to use the term, I'm blessed. I say, well, that's okay, but you might as well say I'm thankful. He said, well, blessed a little more. You're going to be blessed to be thankful. I said, no, I'll be thankful. Because you be thankful for some things you don't get in life. I'm thankful I don't get certain diseases, certain atrocities, So the thing is that she's the first one to think about being thankful, because what she really wanted was a strong relationship with her husband. But she's thankful that I'm able to have more than my amount of children back to back. And my husband's still dealing with me. Even if he loved the other one more than the other, he still deal with me. Y'all forgot about it? Oh, I guess some kids are made by, what they call miraculous conception. Give me that word. Now, the husband's still going and paying that visit. So she couldn't be too bad looking, and it couldn't be too repulsive if he's still, stepping over and he ain't creeping, he's stepping. But I'm going to go back one more and then I'm out, Just think about this thing when the dreams. Genesis had more dreams than any other scripture. Any other scripture, any other book, for us, the book of Genesis, got more dreams than any other book of this Tanakh. When you read about Yaakov's dreams, you read about, that's the only dream with that ladder that was never interpreted in scripture. All other dreams got interpretations behind it that you read about in the whole Tanakh. This is the only one when you read about Yaakov's dream. And you notice, this, and I'm glad Chief Naphtali brought it out, this is first encounter with the Creator. Because you notice when Yitzchak asked Yaakov, how you get it so quickly? He talked about your God, not mine. I didn't have that experience. Your God made it happen. Oh, y'all forgot that part? Or I know you ain't forget it. You might be a little bit hungry. You might be a little hungry. You know what I mean? A little bit rave or hambre or something like that in Spanish. Help me out with Spanish, man.
You're right.
Yeah, okay. But he mentioned that it was Isaac God. Now, we talk about faith, and this is what I'm ending at, with the faith. That's why I brought that part up. Is that you have two types of faith. We always talk about the faith of Abraham. And that Abraham, even when he went out on his mission, that he had, God counted his faith as righteousness. All right, Yaakov with this dream, he made a pact with the Creator in this dream. And when he made a pact, off the back, just looking at it quickly, you would say, he don't think this God is going to be his God unless he could put stuff out for him. Give me food to eat, close my back, and bring me back to my father's house in peace. He made conditions for this God that he just encountered, first experienced and act like that's not going to be my God if you don't do that. He said, the word was, then you will be my God. So when people would think that, they'll look at it and say, oh, he must not really accepting God. No, they don't mean that. But in other words, I didn't have the experience. We say, Abraham was best, used the term bekal and everything. You know, but Yitzchak used the term when his blessing says mikal, from everything. But Yaakov just says call, everything. He had made the first encounter with the Creator and didn't realize he had made this encounter. He went to sleep. And he's saying that, then you'll be my God. So how we interpret that? Because the God that Abraham talked about, he was a provider. You know, the God that Yitzchak talked about, he was able to do certain things. So I know what the God of Abraham was about. I know what the God of my father was about, because Abraham died when I was 15 years old, but I ain't never had no revelations. I'm in my 70s from you now. This is the first time I'm getting any kind of revelation. In my 70s. On my way to look for a wife. So now, if you could do those things, then I know you're the same type of God that my forefathers talk about. Not that you won't be my God if you can't do it or won't do it, but I need to know that you still have the same kind of credentials that my forefathers told me about. A little difference, right? Then the deal. Because he didn't wait for God to give him the food to eat, the bread, and a place to dwell, you know, and bring it back right away. He went to go get a job. So now they bring you back to the types of faith. One type of faith is when you learn about God from your forefathers. That's a good faith. Say, because look, say you're saying, this is my God, because my father taught me about God. You could talk all you want about what God is, what God ain't, blase, blase. That don't mean anything to me, because I'm following the God of my father. Period. Now that's good, that you steadfast following the God of your father. But you haven't learned about God for yourself. Right. Now there's another type of faith, a guy through experience, like some of us that come in this way of life later, discover about God and everything like that. So I learned, I just studied, I looked over certain things, I compared this ideology to that ideology, this doctrine to that doctrine. So I looked and say, okay, according to all my understanding, my decision is that this could be the only God. The problem with that is, now, suppose you develop a new train of thought, a new concept of what God's supposed to be. Because the Creator made man, but man been making God ever since. So now, when we look at that level, then you say, okay, that's good faith, because he had understanding. He realized that God had to have certain kind of credentials. Whereas, if you learn it from if you accept just your father's God, there's no credentials other than your father saying, this is what God is. You need both of those type of faith. The one, the God of my fathers, and also the God I had learned about, being one and the same. That's why we say the God of Abraham, the God of Yitzchak, and the God of Yaakov, because they all had a different experience, and they all found God for themselves, and we don't never say the God of our forefathers, that's it. With that, I say Shalom Aleichem, Shabbat Shalom.
Thanking the Most High God for Nasik Zarishadai. Always makes us look at things in a different perspective, and makes us see things that that sometimes we don't see and we take for granted. That's the value of a true teacher. Not a teacher that's going to keep spinning you over and over and over again, like in the rinse cycle, that you could finish his words before you're going to say it. But a teacher that continues to teach, or continues to learn, like he said, like Chief Naphtali said, not that you reach the 70 and you say, oh, you know, I graduated. You never graduate. You continue to do this and you continue to learn so that you can continue to teach. The minute you feel like you know it all is the minute that it's over for you. It should be over for you. So I'm thankful to the Most High God for Nasik Zarishadai and for this day. At this time, I'll proceed with the words that were given to Moshe to give unto Aharon and his sons to bless the children of Israel, hoping and praying that on the conclusion of this day that the Most High God would even grant us all a blessing. Wadaber Yahovah el Moshe lemor, daber el Aharon ve el Benah lemor, ko tevarku et bnei Yisrael el amor lahem. And Yahovah spoke unto Moshe, saying, speak unto Aharon and unto his sons, saying, on this wise he shall bless the children of Yisrael. Ye shall say unto them, Yivarekah Yahovah Yishmerekah, Ya'ir Yahovah Panawalekah Wikunekah, Yisa Yahovah Panawalekah Wayasem Lekah Shalom. May Yahovah bless thee and keep thee. May Yahovah make his face to shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. May Yahovah lift up his countenance upon thee and may he grant thee peace. Hallelujah. We will return back at 3:45. Batei Avon. May the Most High God bless us all. We'll be back at 3:45 Eastern Time. Amen. Let's get the tables out.